I was trying to get my audio ready for like a minute, and then I realized I'm using the NVIDIA RTX voice thing, and
Mm-hmm.
I was testing it to see if you could hear me. And what I was doing is I was clapping. Apparently, it doesn't catch any of that shit anymore. So
Really?
like, yeah, it's stupid. Like right now, I'm clapping right now.
It cuts
How do you
out
know?
when you clap. Your voice cuts out,
Okay,
but we
so
can't hear the clap at all.
yeah, that's crazy. It's
Let
ridiculous.
me ask you a question, because you have the Ryzen 2700X CPU, right? And
Uh, it's a 2060, but yeah.
I thought it was 2700X.
Oh no,
Yeah, the
duh.
CPU.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking the graphics card. Yeah. I did.
Because when you
Yeah,
set
sorry.
yours up, you set, I think you overclocked it, but left everything else at auto, if I'm remembering.
I cranked up. I think it was the voltage.
I thought you just left it at auto and it worked. But either way,
I mean, I've done auto. I mean, I tried it with auto, and it worked the first time. Like
mm.
I think it was that first day because me and you were talking that
So
day.
have you had it crash at all? Because mine was crashing, so I actually deep downclocked it because my computer's been locking up.
Mine's. Why did it did crash once? What did it do? It crashed, and I had to down clock it a little bit.
Clock
But
it.
I don't remember what the reason was because I wasn't doing anything with it. Well, the reason why it crashed was I was messing around with some graphics programs.
Mm-hmm.
But like other than that, nah, it doesn't. I haven't had
Yeah,
any issues with it.
mine's been freezing up here and there, so I did a fresh install on my Radeon drivers. They have a utility that cleans, completely wipes everything, and then you start with a fresh install. And then I put my CPU from 4 gigahertz down to 3.8. Just, I don't need the 4. I mean, I don't do anything that really needs. I was checking some
I
games.
got
Like
you.
I was playing Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and my CPU
See, you cut
usage
off your camera. Okay,
is
we're
like
good. All right.
19%, 20%. So it's not even using it. So I'm hoping that
I can only
eliminates.
cut off my camera after I log on. Okay.
Yeah, but I like
Yeah, it
to do
always
that anyway.
defaults to on.
I like to do that anyway just to see. It's more for the entertainment value.
So anyway,
and if T gets mad, it's kind of funny. It's a bonus.
Fuck you, man.
I just want to start this podcast off by saying fuck 2020.
It's the worst year of all times.
Fucking goddamn. I've never seen anything like this. I mean, we have fires, you get a virus, there's flooding in Michigan, then you got protesting and rioting, and it's just a shitty time, especially in America. Other parts of the world are now getting hit with the virus, so like Brazil's getting slammed. Australia had fires, like the biggest fires ever.
They say having.
I've never seen fucking floods in Michigan. Like, if anyone saw the news, I think even RetroDesk saw it from Midland, which obviously is in the middle of the state. I've never been to Midland, but their downtown was fucking completely underwater. I was like, I didn't even know they had a downtown, like with like almost like a city. I thought it was just like a small town. I mean, I
This
drive
is the
to.
end times.
Yeah, that's what I'm. And you got Locust and I forget if they're in Africa, wherever they're at right now.
Yeah, fire. I saw the locust shit.
Is this what we call Armageddon?
I had like a tweet a few days ago. I think we literally in like the span of 2 months saw like all four horsemen ride the earth. It's like fucking crazy.
Retro's
scary,
fucking excited. Retro was super excited about the whole thing.
It's bullshit, man. It's like absurd. We're not even halfway through the fucking year yet. Like, can we get like a break at some point?
We're at the
We're not even
halfway
allowed
point.
to leave our
The
houses yet.
break is in June.
Retro is very excited because it's very metal.
I know that's what I was to say. That's literally up his alley.
And I just want to shout
just
out.
as long as we get Breath of the Wild 2 and Metro Prime 4.
Actually, I don't want.
No, that.
I don't want any big game. I don't want any great games to come out this year. I want. Let's just save it for 2021. Let's start.
No, I
21.
I need the peace.
Let's start 21 off with some good games and just have a good year and just say fuck it to the rest of this year.
New president.
New everything. So, but I do want to do a shout out to
potentially
all the. There was I didn't see a lot of it on the news, but on Twitter there was quite a few cities that ended up with peaceful protests where the police were walking with the protesters, and it's just a shame that there's
kneeling and all that stuff.
Yeah, and like praying together and stuff, and it's like that's how you inspire.
Yeah,
people.
my city had a couple of those actually.
And
New
unfortunately,
Jersey had a lot of those.
Grand Rapids, burning cop cars and people, busting windows, and that doesn't accomplish anything. But then Flint, Michigan, you'd think you hear nothing but bad things about, and the chief of police just sat down. He kneeled with people, and he walked with them, and it's just like that to me. That hits me in a positive way, and seeing things burning and stuff getting broken, that doesn't incite like inspiration or anything. So it sucks. But anytime you get a group of people together, it doesn't matter what the reason is. It could be a stupid college football team loses, and they're in all the campus riots and burns down, buildings and cars and stuff. It's just stupid what happens when
people do this over sports games.
And then obviously this is way more important and way more emotion behind it. But
also, I did want to quickly shout out one of the peaceful protest methods I super agree with, which didn't really I say for the most part you couldn't really get confrontational with police with this method. But I think they did it in DC, if I remember correctly, where everyone laid down on the ground with their arms behind their back and kind of just chanted "I can't breathe" for like 9 minutes, I think.
Damn, it's like that.
And I was
that's
like,
a good method.
And to me, that's a good way of getting the message across.
Mm-hmm.
And police can't make no bullshit argument about
he pushed me.
I'm already on the ground. The fuck could I do to you?
And that doesn't change the conversation away from
exactly
George Floyd. That keeps it right on target. Right on.
That's why I want to shout that method out as a really good method of protesting. But
that was great.
And it's just not to get, we won't go any further into the politics and stuff, but then I just like to point out in Michigan here we had idiots showing up with AR-15s to protest the stay-at-home
being locked
orders.
in their house. Right.
I gotta sit home and collect $1,500-$1,600 every 2 weeks. How dare you? Here's I'm gonna show up with my
what am I gonna spend it on?
Walking around the state capitol building like in a show of force. That's not protest. And that's look, my penis is so small, look what I have to do.
And it's like to me,
made us stay at home.
I would be more scared to be in that protest than any of the. I mean, obviously there's some that turn pretty violent, but like that to me, it's just the fact that gets brushed off as it's as peaceful or patriotic and stuff, and it's like
just quickly, people will say that that's peaceful, and nobody's burning anything. Well, the thing that you're protesting is a joke. So there's no real emotion in that. You're just trying to show, hey,
show up with
I'm a big bad guy. Look at me. Right. This George Floyd thing, this police brutality is real emotion behind it. So you can understand what people lose their minds sometimes. But we're not going to get into it. Like you said, I just wanted to point that out because a lot of people, they try to, whataboutism. Look at what about these guys who did this? Well, like I said, their protest is about nothing. It's about, I got to stay inside a couple months and put on a mask. Or it's not even that.
Ridiculous.
Like it's a joke.
I get it. There was, if I'm guessing a percentage where someone, let's say a business owner or somebody who wasn't possibly qualifying for unemployment or, bills were beyond what he or she could pay and was struggling. And I know there's some people that were really affected, but the majority of
people, one is right here. I couldn't get through for 8 weeks.
But everybody I know that got laid off was just like, oh my God, I got like, this is so nice. I get that. I'm bringing home about $1,600 every 2 weeks. Before I was making about $600-$700 every 2 weeks. It's like
crazy,
and they're just thrilled. And it's like, that's the
who would have been thrilled? That's
so stupid. You should have never gave them more than you made. You should have made up to 100% of your pay. Instead of making 70% of your pay, you should have made 100% of your pay until you're back to work, and that would have eliminated a lot of the problems. But anyway, let's talk about some video games. I
like video games.
I'll get T back in here in a second. There he is.
Pretty solid.
Oh, the goddamn camera. Sorry.
I wanted to
force a habit. I apologize.
If anybody who is going to be watching this on the replay or live, that was one of the few people when we did the podcast about Xenoblade Chronicles remake or remastered. Even though we gave all the points pretty much that need to be made, there were still people in the comment section. Nope, built from the ground up remaster, a remake. It's a new game engine. It's a remake. And finally the game comes out. If you watch Digital Foundry's video, we all talked about the character models being different. Well, actually, it's only the faces and the hands. The rest of the character models are the same original character models with some just better. The textures and the what's called ambient inclusion gives the texture more depth. So really, it's just the hands and the face that were actually new in the character models, and then the rest there was some added new trees and stuff like that. But it's like you see the side by side shots, and he liked to point out that really it just shows how great the Wii version actually looks, even still, because there were some shots side by side where I was like, wow, I didn't really think the Wii version was even close, but I didn't play that far into the game, so I must have missed some of the better looking areas. But so yeah, it's a remaster. I mean, there's really nothing left to debate. I just wanted to throw that out there. And then
and it didn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, no. I don't know why people were fighting for it to be.
It really doesn't matter either way, It
still looks like a good. It still looks good. It's Xenoblade Chronicles. It's a great game. Who cares?
So clocked it. I know you were playing it for sure. What's your first impressions of it?
Oh, I've just fallen back in love with it again. I've said like loads of times this is the best Xenoblade, and most of the time the reasons why I say that I just feel like overall it's just the most focused and the most structured in what it's trying to deliver compared to the rest. Not chewing out the rest. I just think with this game, you've got a solid group of characters who all evolve throughout the entire game. The music is just absolutely phenomenal. The world, even though as much as I love the planet Mira, in terms of concept, the Bionis and Mechonis as a world is just there's nothing else in gaming like it. I think it's phenomenal. I love the story. I think it's just more focused and more direct than the other ones, and I find a lot of the quality of life stuff in this version to be great, but also because I have played the original and completed it, I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm not exploring as much because I am actually trying to 100% each map area I'm going in, but I can imagine people not having a desire to explore as much because you get a lot of things that are on the minimap pretty much just telling you directly where everything is. Mm-hmm. Now with the Xenoblade series, there's one thing I always wanted more than anything else, and they've addressed it in this game. I don't know if they did it in Torn or not, but whenever you collect items around the world, you can get quests later on and stuff like that, and you don't have a clue where you got that item from for the most part. It's the
I know that in X,
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, descriptions are never perfect or anything, but in this game, when you pick up an item and you need it, it highlights where you can get it. So it's that's great. But like I said, if I was playing this for the first time, I can imagine myself doing an almost The Witcher 3, where because you're just given quest markers and directions, you need to head this way with dotted lines on a map. That's the direction you head in without really venturing off too much. But like I said, some people will probably still get that sense of exploration. I hope they do, because it's there's loads of little secrets in here. I've seen some stuff on Twitter that make me laugh, because when I first saw it, I was like, oh my god, yeah, that scared the crap out of me. That was amazing. And like people are discovering that for the first time. But yeah, no, I've pumped 12 hours into it. I just got to Satoral Marsh, which I just finished, which I just tweeted just now, just before this, and it's stunning. There's that environment. You wander through it at nighttime and just seeing those changes, and it's nothing like it, in gaming, that I've experienced myself in terms of environments. It's a staggering game, and I absolutely love it. So yeah, I'm blowing my way through it.
Do you feel like there's any quality of life that you wish that they didn't do, or something you're like, oh, this I kind of wish maybe they improved this part of the game, or if you encountered anything like that?
No, like I said, the only slight negative I have so far is the exploration part in being told where everything is.
See, I was hoping you were going to tell me if you found one and then you had a quest where you needed one, you could just go into a menu and it told you what region it was known to
Yeah,
be in.
that's all there.
Okay.
That's what I mean. It's all in the game. You can there's no quests now that like for example, I want there's this creature that appears, during the lightning storm in this area. In the original game, you'd be scanning the area thinking, where the crap is he? In this game, as soon as a lightning storm happens, he shows up on a map, a little indicator, and you try and get over there, as quickly as you can. So like that's what I mean. All that is there. I don't have any real. It's not a real complaint because I'm playing a remake and I played it before. A lot of stuff is coming back to me. But no, I love the new character models. They look really good. But no, I think they've done a great job. I'm really enjoying it. I don't have any issues with frame rates or resolutions. I've been playing it on the TV this entire time. I haven't been touching it handheld. But it looks gorgeous, and I got no issues.
Nice.
Living it.
Because you said you have no issues with the resolution. Like, I don't have the game yet or anything, but it's like nobody actually cares about resolution, and it shows that people only started complaining once like numbers were put on a screen. It's so stupid.
Yeah, it's like I said, you see all the videos from, like, for Digital Foundry and stuff, and they're saying the frame rate jerks and all this stuff, and they always try to make it sound like it's a continuous annoying.
I watched that video, and he said it was the smoothest running Xenoblade they've ever made. I didn't hear him.
With some games, it is an issue with frame rates being constantly jerky, but this. Yeah, I got no issues with it at all. But then I never had any issues like with Xenoblade X or even the original Xenoblade or Xenoblade 2. I think sometimes.
Well, 2 had that glitch where the world would stutter if you went out and then came back without fast traveling, and it would like chug.
I don't even remember that.
No, I didn't hear him. All I heard him say was it was the smoothest Xenoblade that keeps 30 almost most of the time. So that's all. I guess I might have missed the part where if you're saying he said it stutters, but all I've heard so far is it's from Nintendo Life said the same thing. It's the smoothest running Xenoblade game they've ever played as far as just how it feels and.
Yeah, like I said, I can't see any issues. So whatever people are moaning about.
I'm saying they're saying it's the smoothest Xenoblade game. Like it runs the smoothest.
Yeah. Well, that could be it because, like I said, I haven't seen anything, so I'm more than happy. More than happy.
I mean, I want to say that even since our last podcast, Pluto Horror has been playing Friday the 13th, and it's playing it again this podcast. So just to throw that.
What the fuck?
Jesus Christ!
Thought I was gonna say something significant. Get the fuck out of here!
You savage! You goddamn savage!
But yeah, I watched that video too, though. I didn't really see anything, egregious that they were talking about.
No, I didn't think they said anything negative, really. But overall, I mean, it looks good. But I was most, I guess, impressed by how good the Wii game looked in the footage they were showing. It's been a while since I played it on the Wii U. Probably been since early 2016. And then some of the YouTube videos I've looked up since then, just not that good of quality. So, but it is kind of a weird. It's not really, I guess, it's not a major complaint at all. But it's weird that they would make it so that the trees no longer move, and it's like, to me that was. In the comparison shot, it was just like, yeah, that just gives us a nice little touch that they took away. So I'm wondering why they actually took that aspect of the game out.
I haven't even noticed. I'm gonna have to check it. The trees don't
Yeah,
move
the trees are completely static now, and they used to move. So grass, I think, still moves.
Yeah.
But
that's why I didn't notice it, because I kind of just.
And there's the grass density is that's probably one of the biggest changes I could tell. But yeah, it's just wondering, it's like, was that a performance issue or just time issue, or they just, didn't design the new tree models to be able to move? But it was just something they pointed out, not a complaint really, just a something to point out, I guess, because it's true when you compare the two. So.
Well, they had plenty of time. right?
Yeah, I'm
It's not
guessing
like-
this thing's been
Not like
done
they
for
were
a
on
long
a
time.
schedule.
It's just weird because we always talk about static worlds, and it seems like a slight step back to have to at least take something like that was already in the previous game away. But I mean, it's not like it's a big deal. It's just. But anyway, yeah, we missed last week. Honestly, it just didn't feel like there was anything to talk about. Plus, it was Memorial Day, and for the United States, and I was actually made a sale on Facebook Marketplace to sell my old AV receiver, and it just happened the guy had to meet me at 7:30. So, we didn't do the podcast.
The truth comes out.
I didn't know I thought we were gonna do it on Tuesday, and he just messaged me, and he's just like, "Yeah, I'm getting off the boat. I'm in Muskegon, so you want to meet up?" And I was like, "All right, might as well." It just happened to work out that way. So, but it don't feel like that much has happened in the 2 weeks. So I haven't been as following the gaming news as I didn't even know The Last of Us 2 State of Play happened until after it happened. And that's how out of it I've been. I gave you Terrell joked around with you when it was the Ghost of Tsushima one where I guess people knew days in advance and I knew the day of or whatever. I was like, man, why didn't somebody tell me? And it was the same way. I'm on my way home. I'm like, let me see what's to watch on YouTube. I'll just put it on through my Bluetooth on my truck just to listen. And it was a reaction to The Last of Us Part 2 State of Play. And I was like, holy shit. So I don't know when, did they announce that days in advance or
Yeah, it was like a few days in advance.
Really?
Yeah, it was a few days in advance.
I completely missed it.
You brought it up in the chat that day, I thought though.
That was after it came out. I was like, anybody watching it? It
Oh,
was like
I
at
thought
6
you.
p.m.
But see, I thought you already knew though.
I just
No.
found out a couple hours before, an hour before that probably, because that was
Well, I mean, there have been other important things in the world going on.
yeah,
You know.
but it's just
I
crazy.
wouldn't
I mean,
hold it
I
against
just think
you.
I just think if Juice goes on Twitter, I mean, he follows all these gaming dudes. I'd be surprised.
Oh,
I wasn't on, dude. I'm literally just out of the gaming mindset the last couple months, and I just finally started. I played, resumed my Ori and the Will of the Wisp playthrough. Last night I started, and I made some good progress. That's the first real gaming other than Rocket League here and there that I've done.
It's not just that though. Let's be realistic. State of Play doesn't have any traction. Nobody actually cares. Nobody talks about it. It doesn't trend. It doesn't trend on Twitter.
I
and shit.
disagree. It was all over Twitter. once I
Retro, what's
looked.
wrong,
I
Retro?
was doing it almost all fucking day. I didn't see any of that shit.
Retro,
Like,
relax, buddy. What's going
That's
on?
all I saw was Last of Us 2 stuff that day.
you just said you never saw
I will.
anything.
However,
I didn't
will say
beforehand.
that,
Beforehand.
wait, actually, I take that back. Hold on. Well, because I'm curious as to see how many views it got. I'm sure it got 1 million views. It's had to have at least 1 million.
I mean, it did, but I'd be curious if that
It
like
got
or
a
dislike.
1.2 million.
What's that like or dislike bar ratio? That's what I'm curious.
Oh, I'm
about.
sure it's high in terms of likes.
I don't know,
Oh,
man.
no, I'm sorry. It's they don't have likes on.
Oh, I wonder why.
I don't think.
What are we
there was
talking
any-
about?
I didn't know this.
Last of Us.
Last of Us
The
2.
state of
Oh.
play for Last of Us 2, I didn't know about it till after it already aired, and I was on my way home, sitting in my truck. I was looking through YouTube to see if there's anything to listen to. And I was like, holy shit, there's a reaction. There's a Last of Us 2 state of play. I was like, when's that? Oh, this is a reaction. It already happened. And then Retro Death made a claim that
Bridgewater for real is
nobody
my-
talked about it. On
You want to know what's the greatest thing about this whole
I
Last of Us
said it doesn't have
debacle?
the same.
The creativeness of the spoiler non-spoiler people who are spoiling it, but really creatively. That if you don't really know what's going on, you would completely not understand the spoil.
Oh,
It
really?
is really ingenious. Some of the spoiling that people haven't.
Well, I
You know.
unfortunately I think I know it all, and it's annoying.
I know the main.
Yeah, but
two.
you have a tendency to look up leaks, Robert. You have a
I
long
don't know.
history.
I do not look at leaks.
You have a
Damn.
long history of looking
Why you
up
gonna put
leaks.
this man on blast like
No,
that?
first
You're
of all,
blasted.
there's a huge difference between wanting to know what's going to come out in the year 20 whatever, and a difference between knowing the ending of a game.
Yeah, there's definitely a
Two
difference.
huge different things.
That
But
is
I
the
think
difference.
I think if you're okay with knowing a Nintendo Direct beforehand, that's a slippery slope to you're following people because anytime anybody
No, but you
leaks
gotta
anything,
understand, dude, they don't
I
gotta,
just
you gotta
unfollow
no, no, but you didn't even let me speak. This is not people that I follow. This is just
Yeah, but I'd say
this is
that day
How
was
could
pretty
you not,
fucking
dude?
ridiculous.
I
dude.
know
This is in
absolutely
comment section,
nothing.
yo.
I know
Yeah.
absolutely nothing about the Last of Us Part 2 story.
Yeah,
Absolutely
but just
nothing.
you're a bad representation of
Well,
that.
you are
anyway.
bad representation. You didn't even know the state of play was happening, so of course you're not gonna know.
Well,
I
the
mean, like,
leaks happened before.
Bam, bitch.
That's
The
because
problem
is
with-
that if you go on
problem-
Twitter and I literally saw
Oh,
spoilers
shit.
in on like
Yeah.
the most random tweets, dude. The most random tweets I wouldn't even find, and
And
I would just
that-
see random things pop up, and I'm like, mother.
That's
It
because
doesn't have to be
that's
people
what
you're
I'm-
following. It could be followers of the followers who follow
Yeah,
you.
because
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
if the
yeah.
followers like a
yeah.
tweet, you'll see it.
That shit shows up
That's
in your
what I was
feed. And you're
gonna
like, oh
say.
But
shit.
it's not even that. It's like so when you go into like so when you go to the search bar, there's always like a gaming section. I go in the gaming section, and I think maybe there'd be articles that have nothing to do with The Last of Us, maybe it has to do with Sony, and I'll click, and I just scroll for like 5 seconds, and all of a sudden, like the first thing is like blah blah blah, and I'm like, oh my god, that can't be real. I don't understand how that makes sense. I'm so
You know what-
I gotta get out
So
of
And
what's
you
the
know what
lesson
made it
there?
worse?
Juice.
You know what made it
Juice,
worse?
you
is
know
if
what a very
saw-
good-
Well, I'll let Retro go.
I just want to say, like, you know what a really good example of this is, like what Robert said, something that Juice will understand. You've seen, because you're ahead now with the Magicians and I. At the end of season 4, some shit happens. I was behind at the end of the Magicians, and at one point I was just in a random 80s, 90s trip, listening to some music. Oh, let me listen to some Aha. I like the fucking song, you know. And I
Mhm.
strolled to the comment section randomly. Bam! End of season 4 spoiled. Most random spot. Doesn't matter, you know. It's like people just do this shit everywhere, and it can be even slightly related. Like spoilers are fucking everywhere.
Exactly. That's why I
The
like
point, the
anyway.
point I'm making, the main difference that Juice kind of hangs in a very close knit circle and is very adamant about the way he handles people.
Yeah, I
with
unfollow
spoilers.
people who like a tweet that has potential spoilers. I'm gone through and I don't really get much of that anymore.
I get that, but
Yeah,
but
see, and
again,
that's the difference.
But,
But, and the other thing,
the thing is, I don't. It's like it's
But you
like what
did go
Retro said, it's
search.
random things. It's random places.
Did you know the leaks that were out when you went to that gaming site or gaming category on Twitter that day?
I didn't.
Yeah, but it wasn't. But you gotta understand, it wasn't the tweet itself. It's the comments of the
Yeah.
tweets. That's the thing.
I
It
would
was the
recommend
comments,
avoiding.
and then it was the pictures.
that
Well,
day.
now it doesn't matter because I guess I know. But, it's
if
fucking
let's say
annoying.
let's say Breath of the Wild 2 main plot gets spoiled and you know it's online, I would suggest avoiding Twitter that day. You know.
Yeah, I mean, to be
Well,
fair,
yeah, but see,
that
the
like,
difference
day?
was like,
so
I'll
like,
put it
Breath
this
of the Wild
way.
too, like
Actually,
when it's
no,
going to be
just-
trending the highest.
Actually, Juice, I'll give you a perfect example. As someone who didn't play the original Last of Us, I didn't know the context of the spoilers. Apparently, I had already seen spoilers like a day ago before realizing it was spoilers.
Yeah,
It wasn't
that's
even-
what I'm saying.
it
Shit
wasn't
is
e-
clever.
Yeah, because I wasn't paying attention, and then all of a sudden, I was like, "Where have I seen that picture before?" Oh, that's a spoiler.
yeah,
Oh,
Man, T-Geek's
exactly,
getting
dude,
booted.
exactly. I've seen photos.
She's been
And
drinking.
also
You guys, I'm not gonna lie now. You're making me nervous. Can we change the subject, please?
Well, here's what I gotta say.
You got
no,
your
I
knees
wanna
weak.
say-
Oh,
I want
it's
to just say
heavy.
one
I
thing
wanna-
that I forgot. Never mind.
I want to get to that, a couple weeks ago or whatever, when I said that a true fan, it doesn't seek out spoilers.
I don't
And you guys
seek
called
out
me out. I'm not
spoilers.
not talking about you, Robert.
Ah, no, but
Completely not talking about you. What?
Ready to blow
Like,
up.
and maybe, yeah, T, what's going on, man? It
No,
maybe
it's my Wi-Fi.
I understand that there's people with no
whiffy.
willpower and they can't help it, I get that. But just trying to just put you guys in my mind, I don't give two shits about the Sonic franchise like at all. Like, you guys know that. I think it's just
Yeah.
not a good franchise. If there's a new Sonic game out and someone's like, "Oh, they leaked and it's probably a bad example because it's not a story-driven game, but leaked the final boss," even though I don't care about that, I still won't even look at it. Like, that's how anti-spoilers I am about stuff like that. A game I could care less about, I wouldn't even think about going to look at it. I don't know why. That's just the way I am.
That's the same with me. I
problem-
mean, even with like games that I've been playing now, like that, come out 10 years ago. I don't look up the ending because I want to experience it myself.
The problem these days, Juice, is that people are assholes. and you could be watching like okay, you like
retro.
trucks and shit, the most random shit. You like trucks. You could be watching how do I install this fucking container in the back of my pickup truck, and people in the comment section would be spoiling the end of Breath of the Wild 2. That's what people do these days. They
I mean,
post shit
to be fair,
and the
though,
most
we all know
unrelated
what the
shit.
ending of Breath of the Wild 2 is, though.
Yeah, true. I've seen. I've seen
Link's gonna beat
spoilers.
Ganon.
Yeah.
Rachel's like, you like trucks, and I know you like trucks.
I get
I've
that.
seen Last of Us spoilers in the comment section of Pornhub videos.
What?
But the question is, Steve, what are you doing there?
I'm a what? What am I doing? I'm a grown ass man. What you think I'm doing?
The thing is, it's like I don't even want that spoiled. We don't even know if Ganon is in the game. Yeah, it's all speculation about what that creature is. Yeah,
That's Ganondorf.
yeah. I know we
Just
believe it's
spawn
Ganon.
again.
I know we believe it's Ganon. It has to be, but still, it has not been confirmed. And if it actually gets leaked, that it is, and because of this and this and that and that and that, I'd be like, shit. Okay, fine. We knew anyway. We knew. But
I
I'm
don't
with
I
you.
don't I don't
We
care
don't
if it's
know.
like that's Ganon, but I don't want to know any particulars about what he's doing down there, how he
Oh,
got
no,
there.
I
you know?
well,
yeah,
well,
but
I don't-
wouldn't you like it if you didn't know who it was throughout the entire game, right? And you think
they
it's
did-
someone else.
I guess
You think
if
it's
they
someone
didn't
else,
show him.
like they have done in other Zelda games. You know, you could play a few Zelda games, and then Ganon literally just turns up just at the end. You're like, holy shit, man, what the fuck is Ganon doing
So
here?
you think there's a possibility that a different enemy is gonna be like once
All
they
I'm
showed
saying
him in the
all I'm saying
trailer,
is- yeah,
then there's
yeah, I know.
there's no surprise left that this
all I'm
Ganon's
saying
in
is
the
that
game.
it hasn't been confirmed. That's all I'm saying. Okay,
I
So-
disagree because in the trailer they
I
showed
agree
him.
with
No,
him.
it hasn't been confirmed. It hasn't. It's just some skeletal ass dude
Well, I mean,
with
he's not
red
even
hair.
supposed to. He moved, yo. He moved and he looked at him and then
Yeah, I know,
What
but
is
he's still,
happening?
he's still a skeleton type dude. Listen, we know it's Ganon, but I'm just saying it has not been confirmed. And if part of the story, and if part of the
Shit.
story is that you don't know what this creature is until a pivotal moment in the game, and then it reveals it for whatever type of reason, then that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
That's
But-
cool.
It could be tannin for all we know. It might not be gay. It might be
I
tannin.
mean, they could be like, that girl in the trailer with the short hair. That's Zelda. Be like, damn it! I wasn't sure. It wasn't confirmed yet.
Or Link is
I
a
agree-
girl
I agree
in
with
Breath of the
Clark
Wild.
that-
It's like it could be like Urbosa's
That's
father or
Zelda's
something
twin.
like that, right?
That's not
It could be
Zelda.
Urbosa's
That's
father
Felda.
who and like Urbosa
Zelda.
is like Ganon's
It's
sister.
Hilda. It's Hilda.
Yeah.
Like in Clockhead's defense, I agree with him. We don't know. Plus, if you make a skeleton out of fucking Demise, you could be like, oh, but that's Ganon. It's confirmed, but it wasn't Ganon. And he
That's-
looks
that's
fucking
true.
exactly like it and shit. It doesn't need to be Ganon.
Yeah, that's true. But we all know it's Ganon, though. Let's just not play around.
Yeah, I feel
So,
like I was playing semantics. at this
Speaking
point.
of state of plays, though, Sony first couple days ago they let us know on June 4th they were gonna an hour-long presentation. It sounded like it was gonna be mostly games, and I mean to the point where I wasn't expecting to see the PS5. And then they put out today that they're gonna postpone that because of all the real-world stuff that's going on, and I understand that. I mean, I'd say next week would, this week's just a little bit crazy with all the shit going on. I get that. But also at the same time, people kind of need a distraction to it. So it's kind of I can see both sides, but I have a feeling it'll be next week.
Well, I mean, if you remember, Nintendo, they delayed that one direct because of what was the tsunami or something? I mean, stuff happens and they got to delay shit.
Yeah, that's fine. But the crazy thing is like...
I was just going to say, another part of it as well, you kind of feel that Sony, and, they're doing it because they want the attention, right, at the right time.
Yeah, it feels disingenuous to me, but
No,
that's just me.
Yeah, you can't imagine them just going, oh, this is bad, guys. Let's delay this stuff, right? Because this is way more important.
Yeah, I didn't. To
It's
me,
like,
it didn't make
all the
it didn't make sense.
It's like
And
no,
yeah.
PlayStation 5 right now. We need to wait, guys. All right,
And it really doesn't make sense. Like
No,
Terrell
it doesn't
tried
at
to say.
all.
I think if
Because
I don't know with
It's well. Here's my.
I
Here's
think
my
if it would
argument.
have been if it was supposed to be today or something, I would say, yeah, today probably not too many the attention's not going to be fully focused on you. Like there's a lot of people, a lot of other stuff going on, and it's probably more of a.
I think you'd be surprised. I think they just had that little 20-second PlayStation clip in that. Was
they're actually putting out. They put out ads for it.
That was 3 million views 3 days ago.
And what confused me in my main thing is that like I get the argument is it's because we're in trying times and it doesn't feel like it's the right taste. But my thought process is exactly it's trying times. A lot of people are stressed the fuck out. You know what I would rather do? I'd rather take a break. You know what I can take a break for? Looking forward to something in November. What games are we getting?
All right.
Like that's
I can get away from the real world because that's where the issues are.
But see, their marketing already worked because everyone's in the back like, good job, Sony. They're
good job. Patting them on the back and shit.
Yeah. And you're just like, bitch.
And
we know what they're doing. Like, no.
And it'll be next week. Trust me. It'll air next week. I guarantee
Exactly.
Right. So what are they really delaying? I mean, it's just they just wanted the pat on the back. That's all there is.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. It is a PR move, just like how they did the stay at home thing. They gave you the Uncharted collection that was $5 and Knack 2. So it's like again, it's the same pat on the back thing. Like, come on, guys, we got.
But guys, they're allies. I don't understand. They're allies. They're being allies to us.
I was like, damn, did somebody Molotov the Sony headquarters building? What the hell? What's going on? Why are they stopping stuff? They got nothing to do with you?
There are new branches in LA, so it wasn't surprising.
So I was kind of before they delayed it. I thought we could talk about what we kind of expect. Do we expect them to have like
still talk about it?
First party, like a couple first parties? Is it gonna be third parties? Is it gonna be exclusive?
It's gonna be mostly third party for sure. Like that's just, of course it will be. I mean, there's no way it's gonna be an hour of first parties. When does Sony ever have an hour of anything? So it's like.
But before we go any further, they did confirm that there will be no cross-gen. If a game comes out for PS5, it's not going to be available on PS4. It's not going to be playable.
Right, you got to pay for that shit again.
Here's my question, Juice. Do you view that as a bad thing or not?
I personally don't, because as much as I give, I said Microsoft, I said it's an interesting strategy, their forward compatibility thing. At the same time, like if I buy a PS5, I don't want the developer to have to make sure it works for the old 7-year-old system. I want to take full advantage of what the PS5 is. So that's how I look at it. But from a business
does it
standpoint,
look bad compared to Xbox though?
Not in this regard.
No, of course not. And I agree that it's not a bad thing. But what I will not agree with is if the tables were fucking turned. If Sony was the one doing cross-platform and you can fork, you know what I'm saying? Like if they were doing it and Microsoft wasn't, you would believe the ocean of cries and screams that would be out there.
I will say though,
the Microsoft.
As far as the Xbox fans, the Next Gen podcast, they were kind of saying they don't like the cross-gen thing because they're buying a Series X obviously day one. They don't want games to be held back by the Xbox One launched Xbox. So
but why is that the premise? Because clearly we've seen situations where a game
there he went. I know games can scale and stuff, but I don't know if anybody else caught wind of that Australian guy.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. I'm not even on Wi-Fi anymore. I think the government is shutting down my internet now.
They're trying to silence you, yo.
They're trying to silence me over here, man. So I went from maybe I need to go hardline, but I can't find my damn mic. That's why I'm not. But I went from I have 5G, I have a 2G setup. I went through both of those, and then I went to just I went from Wi-Fi. That was where it started. So I was just, let me just cut the Wi-Fi off and go for my, my 2G, my 5G different, and all of them cut off. So I don't know what the hell.
You ain't a real G.
What are you on?
I'm on my cell phone. But I'm trying to find my
Did
mic.
you try
That's why.
restarting your
The
cell phone?
system is
And it just-
broken, T. The system is broken.
No, here's the thing. I went from my cell phone. I went from my iPad to my cell phone. So
Oh,
what's
really?
happening on my
Okay.
iPad too? So it's got to be the internet connection.
As in, you're talking through using your cell phone to do this podcast and
The
shit.
sound quality sounds great.
Why
We're
is
using-
like the most tech guy here always using these jank ass setups and shit? What the fuck?
But my shit sounds better
This,
than
this
yours.
sounds the best you've sounded in a long time. So I ain't complaining.
High 2G and 5G aren't high tech. Oh my bad. What you want me to be on? What you want me to be on, sir?
Something that works.
You want to be on that 6G.
No,
You know
no,
about
no.
the 6G?
Actually,
You want to be on a 5G, gives you COVID, man.
Well, clearly, as I said, if I'm going from my Wi-Fi to my 2G and my 5G, the problem is the internet, not my technology.
yeah, if you're going from your
So-
cell's data usage to Wi-Fi, and the same problem persists from two different devices, then I mean,
Right.
You talking
But
through your
some people
mobile
want
app
to,
or
they want to put this
5G?
narrative out every time, talk about my mics and this and that. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't hold my mic in your jock strap, son.
All right, back to the
Pulling my
topic.
jockstrap.
Back to the topic. So there was a guy, I think he's Australian. He says he's a game developer. He worked on mobile games for EA. But he did kind of a breakdown reaction to the PlayStation 5 deep dive or whatever. And even though he wasn't like making, the big games and stuff, he still has a pretty good knowledge. I'd recommend watching it. I came away from the Mark Cerny deep dive thing with a lot more, I guess,
Out of your coma.
understanding. Yeah. He kept pausing it and said, yeah, what he's saying, this is how, as a developer, this is stuff I think about when we make games, or when he works on a cell phone, he had to like worry about power consumption and stuff. He couldn't just push the game, whatever. I thought it was pretty interesting, but when he talked about backwards compatibility, he said, where people he worked with and stuff, it was more, the cross-gen stuff was more of a, for them, obviously they don't care about the business side of it, the money side of it as much. He says it's kind of a pain to have this new exciting hardware, and you gotta make the game for the old hardware and the new hardware, which affects what you can do with the new. Obviously, the new hardware, if you just made a game just for it, you could take advantage of it way more than having to make sure it works on both. And you were talking about I think you're about to talk about, scaling games and stuff, but when you're talking,
Yeah.
and I know some people like to downplay it a little bit, but one of the things takeaways I got from this guy talking about it more than anyone else was when he saw the basically the outline of how all the data moves solids from the solid state to this special chip or whatever that feeds it to the GPU, and he's like, that's a major change to how games can be developed. And Mark Cerny kind of said that too, where it's like, yeah, you got to account for loading and kind of design your levels and stuff around that idea. And if developers are freed of that, he said he's excited to see what people will do with that, and it's like, if you got,
So do you have a solid state in your PC?
I do, but there's not one game, or there's actually one game out of thousands. There's only one game on the market that requires a solid state. So every game that's
Okay.
made has to
So-
be developed to work with a standard hard drive.
Okay, so my point is, if we've had it that way, that means consoles have been holding back games, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the premise. So how is this different? Like how?
God.
The once he gets back, the difference is having to develop a game to work with a slow ass hard drive. It
Best
doesn't
podcast.
means that Terrell and Robert and I, we get some quicker loading times with games, but that's it. You don't get to take full advantage. They can't design a game without having to worry about the slow standard hard drives. So we've never seen what that will look like. So that's
Wait, what are we talking about now? And what are you talking about now in context of the game? What are you talking about?
talking about the technology of this basically seamless transition from storage to displaying the game on the screens. They've never had that before. So if you have to
but
make a game,
that's why I'm asking you.
if you have to make a
what in the
game that has to work on a old hard drive, which there's some really slow ones out there, there's some faster ones out there, but it doesn't matter. If you have a standard HDD, even the fast ones are slow as shit. So if you have to make sure your game works with that, then that completely handcuffs you on what you can potentially do with your game design. So that's what he was saying.
Yeah, I'm ready to give up.
What game design? That's what I'm talking about. What are we
Just
talking
everything, about? Everything they've created, from the game world to the game engine, everything has to be designed around the speed at which stuff can go from the storage to be on screen. So like Mark Cerny said, they designed games back in the day with a bunch of twisty turns to hide the loading so that I think it was Jack and Daxter.
If in my head, so if we go back to like the N64 and we got like Mario 64, Mario runs up to the castle, opens the door, 1 second delay till the door closes inside the castle.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference? This is where I'm getting confused.
Because if you put Mario 64 on a standard hard drive, then it ain't 1 second to get in the door. Then that's the difference between a game.
Okay, so you're talking about because Sony and Microsoft forced the industry to use discs, then forced the industry to essentially use hard drives because of the disk space and all this stuff. Are you saying that because of the way consoles have gone, that has stopped Mario 64 from happening?
Potentially. I mean, who knows what they'll actually... But Mario 64 had the restrictions. It's not... I mean, yeah, the hardware
we say restrictions, but I mean, what does instantaneous loading mean to us in the context of the game? So, for example, I'm playing Xenoblade right now, right? And the fast travel in Xenoblade, as long as you're in the same area, he's gone again. The fast travel, I counted it. It's 1 second. I've fast traveled across the map. It takes 1 second. The screen goes black.
For real?
It appears, and then and there. The fast travel is fast travel. So
that's pretty incredible.
The level looks loaded. I don't see anything popping. Everything's just.
I have a counter example to that because I'm really back into Xenoblade Chronicles 2. If you fast travel on Xenoblade Chronicles 2, everything is flat. And you literally, I'm not joking, for maybe 10 seconds, it's loading layers upon layers, and then another layers.
And I remember that was
things on the tree.
Yeah, and like
I don't think it's 10 seconds though.
And another example is Breath of the Wild, where you fast travel, you have to watch the loading screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is, we've had games, and we've been in game worlds where loading is so minimal you don't think about it. So what's been?
Well,
been
the loading time that's just one small thing. Like, that's just how quickly what they've created can, you can go from one area to the next and it can load in the world. And I'm not a game designer, so I don't know what's going to happen once they don't have restrictions of, hard drives. But even back with Mario 64, yeah, that was fast. But I guarantee you, they designed each level to work within the N64 the boundaries of the system, so we don't know. Like, it's just, who knows what it might not be major changes. Some companies might do nothing with this other than no loading times, but others it might completely change, and it might just be from the development side of it. The end result to us, you might still have a huge open world game and, with no loading times and stuff. But I think that's where maybe I'm kind of just listening to a developer talk about how it affects them. And it might just be the development side of it. So you might be right. It might not actually be this huge visible thing to us gamers, but for the development side, it sounds like it's going to be more.
One thing the demo stresses right at the end, which I think is what they try to say, and we know this from Mark Cerny as well, because he was talking about Spider-Man, how you jump on the subway and then it's instantaneous.
Mm-hmm.
You're flying through the city and everything's just loaded, right? So I feel like they're trying to push this for open worlds where you're moving at speed, because when you're traversing slowly across the world, it's like, for example, when you see people speed running in Breath of the Wild, and they do that trick where
and it
the power
freezes.
guide and it freezes because the game's loads it in, right?
Mhm.
So this will prevent that, right? The world will just be there. You won't have to worry about all these things. But then that still doesn't fundamentally change how we're playing in the sense that it takes something. I mean, it's taken something broken to show us that we hit these boundaries. It's a bit like Wind Waker, where we knew that the ocean only went so far when we learned that, and then they said in the Wii U version they were able to greatly expand that, right? So we know about all these things, but when it comes to the game itself, when you're flying through the city as Spider-Man, or you're flying like that girl with a power glider flying through this ancient city at speed, you're still not seeing it all because you're flying past it.
Yeah.
So, and then you slow down, then it's all there. That's when you can take it in. So I'm just trying to get in. I'm trying to visualize in my head how we're going to benefit from.
And it might be one of those things that you can't predict or envision it until somebody does something that you're just like, wow, like what? Why is that such a big change? And then you find out, oh, it's because of this. This let us do this. It may not come, but from what the guy was saying as a developer, he was very excited about how that frees up from the development side of it. So
I suppose it's, in my mind, it's almost similar to let's say if you got like a decent amount of RAM, right? To pump all this stuff through your computer at high speeds to get it there. That's why we chuck so much RAM into our PCs, right? Like, I want this much RAM in my PC, right? To get this game working as fast as it possibly can and all this stuff. I just feel like sometimes when we talk about games going so far, we've been there with PCs, and there's only so many developers. It's like we look at Star Citizen, right? And there's no other game on that scale that anyone's ever bothered to attempt to make, because games this big are so complex, are so detailed, that they are essentially once in a generation, sometimes maybe even once in 2 generations. And you hear Sony twerping about it all the time. What they're going to do next for Uncharted 5 or whatever, blah blah blah. But they still won't push gaming. Is what I'm trying to say. They'll still go on, sorry.
I was gonna say what I was trying to say.
Let's see if you make it through. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know, right? I had some great points and shit too. What I was trying to say basically is that I'll believe the shit when I see it, because every generation, I can pull out all my gaming magazines. I did a tweet some time ago talking about how EA was talking about what Madden was going to look like and how much more things they could do on the 360 version. And I'm like, none of this shit ever comes to pass. It's all PR. At least to this point has been. I can understand, being excited about that, because there was a point where I was excited about it, but I got tired of continuous being lied to, because I wasn't seeing all this stuff that they were talking about. I had the imagination and I was seeing it in my head, but when the games came out, that stuff never came to fruition. So,
I
said, until I see it, I'm gonna chop it up as PR BS until I actually see what these guys are talking about.
Just one quick thing. It's what I said about Devil May Cry 5, which I'm playing now. I played Devil May Cry 2 day one when it came out. It's one of my favorite PS2 games. I've gone from Devil May Cry 2 all the way to Devil May Cry 5, right, from the PlayStation 2 to the PlayStation 4 almost. And I'm just like, what has changed with the series, with all the tech that has come along? What has Capcom done apart from make this look better?
Not much, because
it's the SSD, man. There was no SSD all this time.
There's no SSD all this time.
Actually, I feel like
I just look at these developers, and I'm not just tuning out Capcom here. You hear it from all the guys who always push the tech, right? And we hear it from EA all the time. Anthem, it's going to be this new thing and all this stuff, blah blah blah. And they'll come up with things like, the console wasn't ready for this. Okay, let's see Anthem 2. They'll pull off the exact same shit.
And we saw it with Microsoft in 2013. 2013. Oh, the power of DirectX 11 and the power of the cloud and the computing and all this is going to change everything. Did it happen? Hell no.
All they want is easier tools to make their lives easier, so they can just
Right.
push out the same shit. That's all they
And
want.
it, like I was saying
That's it.
before,
Crackdown 3, that's still shit. That shit
well,
is
when
still
they showed
weird.
that demo, that was
Crackdown
really cool.
3.
When they showed that
Oh,
cloud
yeah.
demo, that
Yeah.
was definitely
You know,
something we've never
everybody
seen
believed
before.
it. What happened? What
the
happened when Crackdown 3 actually came out?
The technology was not even close to being ready for that. The infrastructure of people's internets and connections and stuff, I think we're 10, 15, 20 years from that. What they
Well, at
showed,
least in this country.
yeah.
I mean, prove us wrong. I mean, people might think we're hating,
Right.
about the next gen. It's like, prove it. I want to be proved wrong. I want
Yeah, and I
games to
think-
blow my balls off. I just want to be like, holy fucking shit, man, that's amazing. I can't believe they did that.
I
want
that's
that
what
to
I'm saying. I hope I used to believe this stuff. I was as excited about as everybody, but I'm jaded now because I've been around the gaming block for a while
Too long,
and I've
too
seen
long.
the same talk
I feel
for
Crackdown
decades and nothing
3
happens.
Like Crackdown 3 is going down in gaming history as the biggest, longest downgrade ever. For like fucking 5 years, every time you saw it, it looked worse, and
And then
would
all of a
do
sudden it was
less.
a cell shaded game at the end. Like what?
Yeah.
But
I mean, which
and-
the other
and-
Crackdowns were,
Even
but
some of us were like, Breath of the Wild, Nintendo were like, yeah, we're not calling it open world, we're calling it open air. We're just like, fucking Nintendo, man, saying, making it their own words. And then we put it, we're like, holy shit, this is open air, man, what the
yeah,
fuck?
you get it.
yeah, that's what I was saying, T, before you got back in, is like we're trying to think about, like Clocked was saying, well, what's gonna be the change? What's gonna be the improvement with this? They're so-called not being held back by, and I was like, well, we might not know it until we see it. Somebody might do something in a game or just like, holy shit, like I don't think I have the imagination to try to see what somebody creative can do. And it might not be just a visual. I think we're thinking a lot about loading times and on screen, like worlds we're seeing. Some of that data that could be, that's streaming way faster, could apply to enemy AI or animations or something in the world that it's not going to be a photo's not going to show it off. It could be something completely different. So I'll just hope that somebody taps the potential and we see something that blows us away.
Because I know what you're saying, but I think I agree with Clock that a lot. It's like what you said. Like you're talking about even anime AI, but all of that depends on the laziness of developers and shit. Like we talked about it, I think last week,
Yeah.
when you have like the AI of like a Moblin and Breath of the Wild, that is like one of the most advanced AIs we've seen, with things they can do when they interact with the dynamic environments and that kind of shit. And then we had like, what's the other game you guys were like bitching about last time with the super shitty AI and stuff, where you walk around them and
Spider-Man?
nobody was
Oh,
moving?
Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, both of those, yeah, for example. You see, so even Ghost of Tsushima by now, you can look amazing, but we've talked about this in Breath of the Wild. It's not about how good you can make it look. It's about using what you have to the best of your abilities. And people are just, it's like when we had like fucking, at this point, like 4K, 8K, but we can still barely get each game to be at 60 FPS and shit,
It's like the physics of Breath of the Wild have been around since Half-Life 1, Half-Life 2. You're going way back then, when they could do this stuff if they wanted to. They
But
really want to.
to do it on that scale takes way more work.
We're talking about our scale, but if you played Half-Life 2 is still quite an open world game. It's you played it, yeah? It has got big areas. I know a lot of it is confined in tunnels and stuff like
but
that.
I don't think like wind affected objects and stuff.
Well, no, not the wind and stuff, which is why
that's
Breath
what
Breath of the Wild is so great.
And they said that really threw them because they added the physics engine and then everything got blown away instantly because they didn't account for wind affecting all these objects, so they had to fix that.
but that, which is great. And then what we're saying is that could have been done on the Xbox. If you want to think like that could have been done on the Xbox 360. How many games did we have like that?
I don't think anybody's done.
No one fucking did it.
No one's done it.
No one did it.
So yeah, I mean the point is pretty obvious. Developers, big developers.
I feel like Zelda's
especially.
in the back, like I did it.
Yeah, they don't put in the effort, and then you're right. That's probably not going to change. But when I talk about this stuff, I'm not even considering the big AAA like like the
I'm
Ubisoft.
not-
I'm not
Just-
really even
just
thinking
think-
those
just
guys. Like
thinking
that's,
about what Nintendo's going to use with that in 10 years.
yeah, I'm more thinking. I'm not thinking about the EAs and the Capcom. Like I'm just hoping there's somebody
Can you
really
guys hear me?
that's gonna blow us away. Yeah.
You're dead. We already know what's going on.
Yeah.
So
It's
let's
the system. The man's trying to take you down.
let's talk
Switched
about
over.
Xbox's raising the
What,
bar
what
again
the what,
for
what the fuck is the Xbox?
for
Sorry.
backwards compatibility. Like, and
Of
it,
course it happened.
I get it. I get that any counter argument, because I'm not one to sit there and play a bunch of old games myself, but the fact that that's there and that they keep announcing like they're taking it further and further than I even thought they would even bother, like the fact that every backwards compatible game from Xbox to Xbox 360 to Xbox One on the Series X will take full advantage of the hardware, whether it's CPU, the solid state, or the GPU, and it's like every single game that's currently backwards compatible will benefit from the Series X. Every game's gonna get HDR conversion for people with HDR TVs, because I've learned, Shadow Fox actually said this like a year ago, that games even back, even probably PS2, GameCube, for whatever reason, I don't understand, like film cameras and video game development has always been way above even what HDR is, which is 10,
God, what's going on?
which is
Sorry.
10-bit.
Sorry. I'm making this.
Standard dynamic range is 8-bit. That's what your TVs can do. And game development for decades has been doing 14, 16, 32-bit. So it already has the information for HDR in there. So what Microsoft did is they just put it into their hardware at some point, maybe software too, to just go to that core part of the game code and then just do some AI whatever to just kind of figure out what needs to be brighter, what doesn't, and just so all these old games are gonna get some kind of form. We'll see how it looks in the end result, and then they're gonna either be higher frame rates, definitely higher resolution. They're gonna even talking Manti. That's loud.
What was that? What?
Whatever noise is going on, there's a lot of it. I think
Really?
Yeah.
All right, hold on.
Never changed, T. Never
Stop,
changed.
dude.
This is the old, go back. I'd rather have you dropping out with that mic quality. It was amazing. But,
Never
so
changed,
basically they're just saying, and I'll be curious, it's really going to be once we see some of these old games, I'm curious what Dead Space is going to look like the first game. Because I have a decent collection of 360 games. If I put Dead Space in, and it gets like and I've seen it on PC, and it's even at higher resolutions without, doing much to it. It's not like it looks amazing or anything, but I'd like to replay that game someday. I still have the disc. If I can put that disc in and it gets a nice boost in whatever, aspect, it's better than just playing the base version at whatever resolution it was, probably 540 or something and blown up. It may not be something I do a lot, but the fact that they're going the extra mile is just really impressive. I didn't expect them to go this far with their backwards compatibility, and the fact that they are, it's like they're taking it pretty serious, and I think it's going to be hard to, depending on how it turns out, I think it's going to be hard for other companies to not at least try to compete at somewhat.
What it does for us is it gets rid of that that bog standard HD port of a game, that we all initially bought because we were all excited to play them again, and then quickly got tired of them because they wasn't too much change, I suppose. It's still the same game. But yeah, I feel like we spoke about before how Microsoft tech wise had really set themselves up from the start in terms of family of consoles, which I think is great for what they do, because they don't shy too far away from what they do. So in terms of their consoles radically changing, they don't need to. But like I said, this works for them, and I feel like the backwards compatibility is a great thing. I don't know how, I feel like you're splitting markets. You got people like me and T who will go back and play the original Xbox games. You got people who won't touch them, at all. And
And
then
I have a feeling you're going to be able to select to play it exactly the way you played it back in the day. Like, I don't think you're going to be forced to play it with any enhancements or anything. Like, if you were really a purist.
Yeah, no, I don't mean that at all. I just mean we're talking about backwards compatibility now, and we all rave about it, and how many people actually go back and play it. How many people will go back, and play, Gears of War 1 again, or Uncharted 1, again, and stuff like that. There's the people there who will, but in terms of mass market, I think the majority of people will only go back one console generation, and with the Xbox, you only essentially have 3 generations. I mean, how many people will go back and play Xbox One games? How many people will go back and play?
There are Xbox One games you go back and play. What?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean by that. It wasn't exactly a successful generation of hard-hitting, memorable, exclusive first-party games, was it?
But the 360 had some really amazing games, and I don't honestly want to hook my 360 back up. If I get a Series X, like I said, Dead Space, give me I probably wouldn't. I don't know if I'd play through the whole game or not. It depends on what else is out, what else I got to play on the thing. But like,
I mean, I know myself. If I went back and played Mass Effect, if the Mass Effect trilogy, had some sex pit on it, I go back and play it without a doubt.
So I'm waiting for Tita, because I know that this topic's probably more close, because he was saying he has this collection of Xbox 360 games, and you just have one system plugged in, and it plays everything. My
360 is by my feet right now. And what was I playing here? I was playing some of my original. I was playing Jet Set Radio Future, for example, just because I was listening to the soundtrack and stuff. I was like, oh, let me play this game again. This goes into the realms of one console to rule them all, and I feel like it's a great subject, because what do we really want from one console that rules them all? One box that sits there and does everything. What do we want from it? And I feel like for purists, for old timers like me and T, who love to go back, like I was playing Goman 6040 the other day. Some people on here wouldn't touch that with a badge ball now. But I was having a great fun with it. If I could slot that into my Nintendo Switch somehow and play it, that'd be great. But with the Xbox Series X,
of course it would, man. Of course, because you hear these people all the time. Oh, I want to be able to play N64. I want to play all these other consoles on my Switch. And all of a sudden, now that doesn't matter. I mean, obviously we're talking about Xbox here, but Xbox, if you've been a Xbox guy, this should be probably very exciting for you, especially because the original Xbox had some great exclusives that are only on that console to this day, and to be able to play those,
Jet Set Radio Future.
Well, they showed one back a couple months ago. We didn't really talk about it. They showed Gears of War 5, just barely got it, a couple weeks of effort trying to optimize it, and they showed an old Xbox original game running, native 4K. I don't know if the HDR thing was working or not, and it was like, it didn't look like a full-on remake or anything, but holy crap, it was like a 4-player. It was a weird game I never even heard of. It was just a weird, quirky little platforming kind of game, and the difference it made was it was pretty. I mean, it looked closer to like a full HD port back in a PS3 game. PS2 game on PS3, it looked to that level, if not better. It was like
We've already seen that with Panzer Dragoon Auto, which is running in 4K, I believe, on Series X and stuff. I've seen plenty of videos on it. I'm just like, yeah, this looks phenomenal.
So it's not for everyone. It's not going to be like a system seller, but it's a really cool thing to have. So Robert, you were about to say something?
For me, I gotta say, this all kind of depends on Sony's little press conference, whatever they're gonna do. Like, there's a good chance I might buy a Series X over the PS5 before it, just for this fact. just because of that I could play the Xbox games and the 360.
You need to be needing to play some more Xbox backlog
Exact-
games.
I
Back
have
at the
literally,
backlog.
literally all I have right now, like I can see, is 5 Xbox games, right? The original. And on my wish list, I probably got 100. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? Like, so the catalog is gonna grow exponentially, and to have all one in one console, I don't have to have my 360 that I'm tapping right here and the one right there. I mean, that is massive.
And Robert, you must be 45 years old, right?
Yeah,
That's only people who would care
Well, the
about
only-
this, right? Oh, how old are you again?
There's one caveat to this though.
41.
And this is a selling point for you, even. So
No, that's why, like, honestly, like,
Oh, there you went. The only problem with this though is
The
it's
disappearing T.
It's not
Coming
every
up there near
game.
you.
It's not every Xbox and Xbox 360 game.
it's not, because I thought it was.
It's
I
the
thought
games that have already been confirmed to be backwards compatible.
Well,
So
I
it's
didn't
not-
see. I didn't see
It's
the
not
list.
every single game you put in. It's not just. I mean, it's gonna be the majority of them, especially the popular ones. But it's not every single 100% every game. So it said all the games that are currently backwards compatible right now will get.
Okay, so because I know because that's kind of weird. So there's also, I guess the ones that are backwards compatible on Xbox One.
Yeah, every game that's backwards compatible right now is what they're saying will automatically take advantage of the Series X. So there's gonna be some games, maybe some more obscure games that I don't even know if they'll play or not. Honestly, I don't know the
it'll
answer.
be obscure, like third-party games.
Well,
something
because
like that.
I thought the whole point was that you could put any game, not that it goes 4K or anything. I'm just that it'll play.
Yeah, I haven't heard. I don't know. I guess I
Right.
don't know
No.
if
No,
that-
because even 360 didn't play everything, but it's gonna play everything you're gonna want to play.
I
Right.
think the 360 played like almost every single one. I mean,
No, 360. I forget what the percentage was,
Yeah.
but there was a good amount of games that
it was
didn't
pretty
play.
solid. It was pretty high
But-
though, I think, right?
Yeah, it was pretty high, but like I'm saying, it's some like the GameCube to Wii even. Like, I played what's the game? Teen Titans on Wii from the GameCube game, and it didn't run. Like it just
Oh,
was
no?
like, yeah, it didn't. It started like you can get through the tutorial part, but then the game just stopped, just gave up. So there's literally, so there's going to be games like that that probably will never come, but everything you pretty much want to play on these systems
That's what I'm
from
gonna-
those
that's what
you're
I'm
going to
gonna-
be able to play, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Maybe you won't be able to play like the guy game. Like
I won't be
Yeah,
able to
yeah,
play
people play
Outlaw
that.
Volleyball 2 or whatever.
yeah, outlaw volleyball stuff like that you may not be able to play, but other
regardless,
than-
like that is a huge thing for me because it's the same thing. Like I'm constantly on the market. Think about it, like the all the analog pocket. Like you could play all the Game Boy, Game Gear, Game Boy Advance all on
Yeah.
the TV at once. Like I'm buying that. You know what I'm saying? That's it. I'm
Right.
there. Like all those type of consoles. That's what I want. So I could just streamline it. It's easy to record and it's easy to just have plugged in and that's it.
Mhm.
And the dream, the day that they have, and it's gonna happen one day. I'm hoping is DS and 3DS on TV. It's like the one thing I'm dying and waiting for. Please, someone make this already. I need that.
And
Well,
I
you
think
can-
Didn't someone do a video on that to save the
you
Wii
can do that if you jailbreak your system.
Kind
Just throwing
of,
it out there.
kind of like for I guess the Wii U, yeah. But like,
You can do it on Switch. I've seen people playing the DS games on Switch.
yeah, but no 3DS. That's the problem. We need 3DS.
Well,
Also,
3DS is still somewhat.
it's newer, but like I know
Newer,
they
yeah.
got people with capture cards, but then they're not doing that anymore. And I'm like, oh motherfucker.
Well, you can do the what do they call it? The wireless capture card setup.
Yeah, but
You can
it's
do that.
mainly so I can, play it on TV plus record.
the only thing is
Right.
the DS games they put on the Wii U Virtual Console, we had to you could have it so the second screen was in. I think you had a couple different options,
yeah.
Yeah.
and that's definitely not the ideal way to play. But
Hey man, that's ideal.
And
for
let me
me,
just
yo.
tell you, that's the reason, Nintendo will tell you all these other things, but that is the reason why they went the DS route. It's because emulation was going to be very difficult.
mhm.
And so they knew if you're going to play some DS games, you're probably going to have a DS system to play them and not try to emulate them,
Yeah.
basically try to steal them.
Because even some of the Wii U games on the emulator, you have to open a separate window for the gamepad screen, and then
right.
it's like a little bit tricky. But so I guess let's get. We didn't really talk about either what we think Sony's gonna actually showcase at their the thing that was delayed from that was supposed to be this Thursday.
I would assume a bunch of third party and maybe some teasers of games. Well, I don't know. It might be early to do that. I probably would say it's not going to be a lot, like in terms of first party.
Think of it this way:
Well, I'm expecting a couple of games.
the PS4 reveal event was like February, and then I can't remember when they showed the Killzone, if that was at the E3 or if that was at the February. I think it might.
That was
Remember,
in February.
that was February because E3 had all the games.
Yeah, that was the February thing.
But I'm just the first time they showed Killzone Shadowfall. I can't remember if they did that in February or I think it might have been June.
No, it was. Only reason I remember it was the February thing is because our
There he goes.
Oh,
Damn
I
it!
looked this up because I
Look
think
it
we
up.
had this discussion before. Yep, it was February. So that was
At least he was right.
that was even earlier,
We'll
and
never
they
talk
showed like a.
Did you get that? Did you know what I just said?
I
No.
was just saying that it was in February.
You
They
died.
showed us like 10-minute demo, which the game ended up looking like what they showed, and that was way earlier in the year. As
Too bad the gameplay was trash.
yeah, I mean the game wasn't great, but I expect at least 3 exclusives, maybe not developed solely by Sony, but I think I would expect at least 3 exclusives in this hour-long presentation, and at least
I wonder why an hour, because
at least one's going to be Horizon Zero Dawn 2, I'm predicting, and I think it's going to be pretty far along, actually.
That's like the only
Does that get
major
you
exclusive they
excited?
would have.
That's my only guess.
It doesn't have
for
me
Horizon.
super excited, but I'm curious to see. I think they had a pretty good foundation. I would like to see them improve some stuff in the game, and
Same.
but that one would be at least that'd be more exciting than like a Rise, Son of Rome, or a Killzone Shadow for me personally, or like a Knack.
What about Knack 3? Come on.
Hey, leave that shit in the trash bin, man.
There's no way Knack 2 sold well to make a 3.
Knack 1 didn't sell that well.
Never say Knack 1.
I think it sold over 1 million.
They
though,
shouldn't even
but
made the
Yeah,
first
I
game.
think Knack 1 sold fine because, it was in the launch.
we should probably look at some Discord questions too. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it sold fine when it was $20.
Well, that's why I'm pretty worried about the PS5 thing because I just feel like all their developers are now releasing games on PS4, and now
That's
all of
what
a
I'm
sudden-
saying. Most of them
you're
are either
like,
busy or just starting on new projects.
Exactly.
I
That's
think-
why.
I
So they
think
don't have.
somebody
There's no
said
way they
that.
have
I think
anything.
somebody had said that already.
We couldn't tell you dropped out of the call 6
No, I wasn't
times.
talking about today. I was talking about some time ago.
You did say that, but I also feel like I haven't looked at like their full developer list, and we know that some of their studios can make more than one game.
Are you questioning Negro Don?
But I don't know who. 'Cause I don't know. We haven't seen it on PS4. I mean, on PS4.
They're blowing the wad right now in the last couple of years.
The best PS4.
Yeah, I don't understand. That's why I don't understand
Yeah.
why they need a new console this year.
Me neither.
Their best.
Well, I know why. They
Dude,
don't want to. They don't want to
They
fall
had
behind.
Dream,
Well, yeah.
Ghost of Tsushima, and Last of Us Part 2. That's the most they've ever had in 1 year. That's huge.
You're a savage. Relax.
I'm not being. I'm just being a realist. About
No,
it.
Yeah.
I'm just being realistic. Again, I'm looking at my PS4 lineup. I pick up like every exclusive, dude, and that is the most they've had in a year, at least for big hitters, And so it's like,
Well, they had Detroit, God of War, and Spider-Man in 1 year.
We don't count
and
Detroit
Lost
as a big
Legacy,
hitter.
equal.
and I think
No.
Uncharted Lost Legacy. But
Lost
then,
Legacy.
Uncharted Lost Legacy is kind of a weird situation because it's DLC.
But you can
Uh,
you want to
it's a
consider
full
it.
game. Or it's
That's fine.
a pretty much full
It's a
game.
pretty
Well, that's
full
because
game.
you
yeah.
like it.
No, it's
No,
a good
it's a full
9,
game.
10-hour game. I mean, it's
Alright,
more than
so
Resident
I
Evil
don't know
3.
that people call
Hey,
it.
so there you go. So 4. So never mind. I take that back. And then we go to that one. Still, can we really prop up 4 as the big number? You know what I'm saying? And so that's why to me it's just
Well,
like,
Nintendo don't in the I guess the Switch first year when you're talking about if it
Yeah.
come out in November, then we would have just had Breath of the Wild, and then it would have been 2018 would have had all Odyssey and Xenoblade, and so the fact it depends it comes out in November.
They
so
had other games. Not yeah. If
well,
you're
yeah,
talking
I go in terms of the whole.
yeah, if you
I
go
think
for a
that's
1 year span, the
for 1 year
Switch
span.
the Switch had some good games, but then look at the next year they had nothing. So we'll see if I kind of think Sony's going to be light for the first year, but I kind of expect.
Yeah, but Sony always tends to have weak launches. At least the
Yeah.
last two
But that's never
generations.
been a great
And their
Sony
brand
launch,
is so strong, people just buy that shit anyway. So.
And
Yeah,
again,
about to say because I'm about to say the last two gens have been pretty weak. From
and
what I
again, to
remember.
me, the whole PS4 has been light. So that's why, to me,
Dude, you
I-
go back to the PS1, the PS2 that launches was shit. It's only just
Yeah.
because
Terrible.
of the time. people
Listen,
excited.
I was a baby.
Especially
I wasn't paying
PS2.
attention at the time. Clocked it. Damn.
PS2 was trash. That was a trash launch. boy.
Yeah,
Goddamn.
I mean, that was
What
my,
was the
my, my
out
road
of
again.
curiosity? What was the launch of the PS2? Or like,
Ooh,
what were the,
Madden was one of them.
The bouncer, that was garbage.
That was garbage.
Oh,
And
God.
my rose again was Fantavision, which was a
Oh,
game using fireworks.
Fantavision.
No, don't get me wrong, I like the game, right?
It was a 5-minute game though.
It's a 5-minute puzzle game, man. You know what I'm saying?
damn.
All right, let's get to these.
That's
Let's
crazy.
get to these questions here. Try to get as many as possible.
Oh, just real quick. You go into the questions. Just real quick. Did anybody talk about? Because I only seen one person with this rumor. And shout out to my boy RGT85. He was saying about Sega and Xbox and what they
I heard
might
some
be doing.
I heard some people
Okay.
talking about that. Like,
What was the rumor?
they might be
I'm
using
curious.
Sega to help
That was pretty good.
To help-
They do
Wait,
that. That's pretty smart.
What was
to help
what was
sell the
rumor?
Xbox in Japan. Is that what it was?
Yeah,
See,
the rumor is that Sega is gonna, or Microsoft is gonna sell the Xbox in Japan under the Sega brand. So it's gonna be probably the
The
Sega
Sega
Series X
Xbox?
or something, or Sega Series X or something like that.
the
Wow,
Sega
that's-
Series, that would be so oddly
Why?
awesome. I'm not gonna lie.
I
mean,
mean,
And probably get some
why,
pretty
I
And,
good-
don't-
and
I
they've
would
had a
think-
partnership before because they had this on the original Xbox
Yeah.
where they had all these exclusives that came out.
listen. Yeah, so you say that. Now listen. Let's not get excited because even if it is under Sega's name, right?
It's not
It's still an Xbox. And
No,
if they
but that's
don't-
not
if
it,
they
though.
don't-
We're
if
not
they
They're
don't
gonna have
the
a bunch of
exclusives-
support
Not-
too.
we're talking about-
if they don't have the exclusives, that is pointless.
But that's what I didn't get to that part. That's also part of it as well. Exclusive, not just exclusives, but back catalog stuff and a couple of new exclusives. That they were just hinting at that because of the Yakuza thing coming to
It would be
Xbox
better
One.
than doing nothing. That's for sure. It can't hurt.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
they can't make any moves and they just get no traction in Japan whatsoever. They had never had.
I don't think it's worth the money on Sega's half.
I don't. It's not gonna happen. I don't believe it at all.
Why
I
would it
really
be
don't
worth-
think it's worth the money.
They don't. They're getting.
They're not
paid to
losing
do it.
anything.
Yeah, Sega
They're
would be
not
getting
losing.
paid.
What are they losing? We're not saying that all Sega games are going to be exclusive to Xbox.
It's-
That's not
it's
what we're
just
saying.
think about it. Microsoft is not exclusive to anything anyway, so it's like
Yeah.
shelves Sega.
They're
So
just talking about-
realistically, it's just their way of getting sales in Japan. That's the only purpose of this.
Well, that's the whole point of it. Yeah, it's not.
What other
that's
purpose would there
basically.
be?
It would be interesting to see if there was actually a difference in sales. I mean, I would guess there would be somewhat, but
So
That's
what
hard.
Xbox brand is so?
I mean, what if
tainted
it
in
had like?
Japan?
I mean, I'm just throwing out, and this is not based on anything, but what if it was like full Dreamcast library virtual console or something? You know, like I'm just throwing out an idea, like something like that. You think that would?
Well, the Dreamcast. I mean, most.
Well, yeah,
Dreamcast
that's what they were
games
saying.
from Sega. Most Dreamcast games from Sega are pretty available. I mean,
Yeah,
don't
they're
get
on
me wrong,
PC and stuff anyway. They're on.
There's still some, exclusive like Skies of Arcadia. I don't
Sky-
actually. Space Channel 5 Part 2 isn't even exclusive to the Dreamcast anymore. That came out elsewhere. There's only a few from the home. And then if we go back to the original Xbox, like we said, we got Jet Set Radio Future, we got stuff like Gun Valkyrie and stuff, which we all know will be backwards compatible unless you can download those games now, because it's hard to get the original discs for some people.
And how would it not be a good decision for Sega? Because Sega's sitting on their ass. It's not like they're like, oh man, we're gonna put out this on every console. We're gonna put out new Panzer Dragoon Saga on everything. If they're just sitting around on it, Microsoft says, hey, we want a new Panzer Dragoon Saga. Can you put that on our system? We'll pay for it. Like that. How was that detrimental to them? That's not gonna hurt.
It's detrimental to us. T. It's
Oh,
detrimental to
But
us.
it's not detrimental. Hold on, it's not detrimental to us because Sega's not going to do shit. Sega's not going to do shit with it. If Microsoft comes along and says, "Hey, do shit. Here's money," and
Sega,
so that's a
Sega
benefit.
hasn't done shit. Sega hasn't done shit, and then they hand out Panzer Dragoon to some indie studio, and it fucks it up.
Well, they already
They
did that.
they let Shamu. They give Shamu off to a Kickstarter.
That's
and-
what
and-
would be
and- and-
prevented, I guess.
and it fucks
in
it
this-
up. It does just because Microsoft step in and say, "Yeah, use the money, bro." That's not gonna happen.
You talking
Why
about
would they do
indie studios? I'm talking about putting some money behind
Yeah,
Well,
I think what the hypotheticals he's
Behind you.
painting is
yeah, I'm not saying this is happening either. This is all
is
hypothetical.
would
But
stop.
let's
Listen,
trust this Sega. Sega is shit.
yeah, I know, but
Yeah, they are. They're trash.
instead of Streets of Rage going to an indie team, instead of Panzer Dragoon going to any team, in this hypothetical, not that I think Sega has a bunch of talented internal people, but you know that.
Well, I think that's collective.
Here's some,
point.
yeah.
Just
maybe
because you
that's
give them
your
money,
point.
if they're
Well,
bad developers,
Microsoft
they're
does
good.
though. They take the IP and
Nah, I wouldn't say that.
The only thing Microsoft does with IP is kill it.
That's what they do.
That's true.
Yeah, but I said Microsoft can't be trusted either.
I'm sorry. They didn't just buy a bunch of talent. Oh, my bad. So they're not talented anymore because Microsoft bought them. All these
No.
studios that they bought, they're no longer
No.
talented now.
As we've seen, Microsoft being the head of talent turns them to shit.
As we've seen before, all this they're doing now. Because so all the stuff that they acquire is supposed to turn around within a month or within a year. Apparently, they're still acquiring studios. Like so.
So wait,
I'm-
you're still giving them. Okay, so I can hear your head now. You're willing to give them another chance, yeah?
I'm willing to give them a chance because these studios haven't done anything yet. That's all I'm saying. Like these are talented people they're snatching up. Now, if they come out and they put out garbage, then you can say that. But until these guys actually produce stuff, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I think that's fair. I just think that's a fair thing to do.
I'm not saying it's not fair. I'm just saying as someone who's seen what they've done in the past.
Well,
It's just,
the only example before is Rare. I mean,
I don't know.
I mean,
Where is this all coming? Give me some more examples.
Oh my god, please don't. Let's
No. The floor is yours. Give me some more examples of what just Microsoft has destroyed as far as.
Okay, so Lionhead Studios. We had Bullfrog, right? We had Bullfrog.
I never
We had
heard of
Lionhead
either of those.
Studios.
You're talking about Peter Molyneux? That guy overpromised every fucking thing he puts out, and that's Microsoft's fault because Peter Molyneux overpromises. That's what he does. He's so bombastic when he talks about games.
What did he do before Fable?
Right.
What did you do? Oh, guys, come on, please.
No, I'm just list the things because off the top of my head I don't.
Oh, God.
The floor is you guys. I want to know. I genuinely, truly want to know.
So now we're doubting that Microsoft has been terminating like games and studios in the last like 2 years and shit.
I
like
know. That's
No,
why
but tell me what they are.
I have
I don't
my
want to hear.
hands-
I don't want to hear the narrative. I want to hear actual games and studios
I mean,
that they just.
Skillbound, Fable, the shit that Lockheed mentioned, they fucked up a lot, Microsoft, in the last few years.
Scalebound and
They
Fable.
literally killed like game and studio after game and studio.
No, okay.
I only heard two games in there, and Scalebound. You know that's.
Yeah,
that's,
but
you know,
to be fair,
all right, but here's the
we don't even know
argument,
what that. We don't even know what that game was. We just assumed it was going to be great. Maybe it wasn't going to be a good
gameplay
game.
and shit from it already. Trailers,
Yeah, and it looked and it looked pretty lame from my perspective.
That doesn't change
But
the
I'm
fact
saying
that
the
they
other side of the
terminated it.
coin is what allows them to have the benefit of a doubt. Is my
They-
question.
I don't give a
The
bit.
talent that they required. I mean, that's all I can go on.
That's not
Yeah,
Microsoft.
but that's not much either.
But that's their talent. That's what I'm saying. You're saying, oh, Microsoft automatically it's going to be terrible because Microsoft did it.
Not
But
automatically, but I'm just saying I don't have that level of faith that you do.
It's
That's
not
what
about
I'm
faith.
saying.
It's
You
what these-
got faith at that point.
To me,
so it's not faith in what these companies have done already. Yeah, okay, you got me there.
Faith that-
They've
no,
done
it's
really
faith
good
that-
stuff.
No, it's faith in them continuing to make great content. That's the faith.
But what? So why is the narrative that they're automatically going to make bad content?
not that automatic, but there's a good chance there might.
There's a looming cloud.
And there's also a good chance they could do good stuff.
I mean, yeah.
Oh no, yeah, of course.
It just
okay.
Microsoft, and then I mean, it looks
chance-
So
always there.
so we're on the same page then. I'm just saying that
You're
you
just
know,
more optimistic.
I don't see it as optimism, but okay.
Well, I'd say that E3s, you definitely were the optimist for Microsoft.
No.
there's
I
nothing
was
wrong with that.
hoping, mostly from a Rare's point of view, I was optimistic about that. But I've given up on Rare. I'm not even talking about Rare. I've given up on the Rare stuff.
We're not talking about.
And I think it's pretty.
I'm just saying in terms of Microsoft in general. I'm never considering their direction in general. I'm just not that optimistic. Like
Okay, but Ninja Theory was a company before Microsoft, and they're still a company. So
I'm expecting quality because I've seen quality from their games before. Just because Microsoft pays them now, I still expect quality. I don't know why it automatically is going to be, there's a cloud of mystery around it now that Microsoft owns them.
Well,
I'm just not.
We just talked about Crackdown and Crackdown 3. Look how that turned out. That's a game that actually released and they promised and they didn't deliver. And it just, I don't know.
But what does that have to do about the new studios they acquired?
They might do the same thing. They might promise and not deliver some shit.
Right. But that was a studio that they just hired to make the game. That
right. You're not making your point.
Well, my point is that Microsoft is not very great with games, obviously, so far in the past for the Xbox One at least. And I mean, yeah, they did shut down shit. They did cancel shit. Things that did release weren't lived up to the hype. I mean, of course, we're worried about these upcoming games.
I'm just saying they don't have a good track record, so I don't have that same level of like. Just because the developers are good, considering the umbrella they're under now, that puts a looming cloud over them. Versus if they were just making something independent.
Okay, so like, I don't understand because Shenmue came out, it was pretty weak, pretty trash. That was duly funded by people and Sony. What's the space game that got all that hype and got all these awards and nobody actually really played the game?
Outer Worlds.
No.
No, that one.
The No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So are we gonna hold these games? Nobody holds those games against Sony.
Well,
they have a better track record.
Really.
Well, yeah, but Sony does have a better track
record. Sony doesn't have a better track record.
They don't.
I would say that's a good point because the guy come on stage at 2 E3s in a row and made all these promises. Yeah, it wasn't Sony's internal development, but they were promoting it letting him promote on their stage, and what he promised definitely didn't come to fruition until like 2 years later after a ton of patches. But anyway,
I just try to be fair.
The point I'm making is that
I think they're just
we
gotta get to these questions.
Sony has a better track record.
We gotta get to these questions. We'll get to some.
Maybe Naughty Dog does.
This could have been a whole podcast. Honestly,
Naughty Dog has a better track record. I'll give you that.
All right, so what are the chances of Beyond Good and Evil 2 or an F-Zero sequel coming out? I don't know if he means between the two or just in general. But let's say
coming out first.
Which one? Let's just say which one's going to come out first: Beyond Good and Evil 2 or F-Zero sequel?
F-Zero sequel.
I would say.
I'm gonna say Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Yeah, I would say Beyond Good and Evil. It exists.
We know Beyond Good and Evil is still in relative development, so.
But
I'm gonna say F-Zero sequel.
That's a game along the lines of what we're just talking about over promising and under delivering. I feel like that has a very strong chance of doing that. And that's Ubisoft though, so it's not that.
That game's not happening.
That's not surprising coming from Ubisoft.
Or they'll just make it not be a Beyond Good and Evil 2 in game and just make some.
Once again, I expect the F-Zero.
All right,
sequel.
There is one final Wii U port. What should it be and why? I'm gonna say Fatal Frame Made of Blackwater just because it's a great game.
I'll co-sign on that one. I'm gonna co-sign on Jesus.
And it never had a physical release in the U.S. and it was
Let me ask you a question, but Juice, you still wouldn't buy it, right?
No, I'm gonna say I'll say I'll say
I'd buy it. I'd buy it again.
You know what would make me really, I would buy it day one for if it was a collection of the other Wii games that never got
or at least the one before 4, Fatal Frame 4.
Yeah, 4. I think it's 4, and then they did a remake on Wii of 1. I think 1 or 3. I forget which. If they released the Wii games with it, I'd be fine.
That'd be a nice package.
If they just released 4 and 5, I'd probably buy it. Just
I can go with that.
I never played 4.
Well, Fatal Frame just needs more like representation. I feel like when Nintendo got their hands on it, for some reason, the games kind of like the games were still good, but like Nintendo was weird about releasing them, and it drove.
I don't think there's too many games to choose from. There's already been so many Wii U ports. So, did anybody think of anything else?
I would say the letter, yo.
Shut up. Shut up.
I'm sure that's not just a Wii U game.
Bring out the letter.
No, it's not.
I want you to apologize. Robert, apologize to the chat for that response.
The Wii U port, mark it as $60 and see how many people buy it. And hopefully people just stop wanting Wii U ports because they're like, what the fuck is this letter shit? Don't bring more Wii U games. What is this? And
I would like-
Robert. Robert, at that point, you're required to buy it and review it. That's what you have to do.
No,
my vote is for Game and Wario.
We party
I
you.
think,
Game Warrior Deluxe.
no, Game Warriors Wii U.
Like,
Oh, and by the way,
I
that
would
game is going up in
definitely-
price. So if you want collectors out there, you
What,
can
Game
get
and
it
Wario?
now.
I have Game
Yeah.
Warrior. I bought that shit day
Game
one.
and Wario is like $80 right now. So
Really?
That's crazy.
yeah,
So
it's going up.
Yeah, I bought that day one. You know.
kind of unrelated, but
definitely
kind
It
of.
was
do-
fun for a few hours.
I would definitely Project Zero or like Fatal Frame, whatever, as well. I'm surprised some of you guys didn't say X.
I was gonna
Oh,
say
what
X,
about?
but
You know,
I don't
gonna
want to
say
play the
jokingly.
lesser version.
I'll throw out another one. I'll say Star Fox Zero. I'll say Star Fox Zero. That's another one.
Wow,
Yeah,
Star Fox Zero.
I just fucking leave that shit on Wii U.
Because I think
That would
people
be
would
the
like
most
the game more if it
hilarious
wasn't
shit.
for. I think
mean-
people would like Star Fox more if it wasn't for that control system.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
mind Xenoblade Chronicles X just because I still feel it's the best. I didn't play 1 all the way through, but I still think it's a really great game. I just
Shit.
the thing that always hangs me up about all this is that they just continue to release them and charge $60 for them. They just
But
if,
did you buy Torna?
That's not gonna change.
if they just put out Xenoblade Chronicles X, $20 on Switch, a basic, just a port.
$20.
$40 on Switch. This is the Wii U. We're not gonna do a full remaster. We're not. There's no quality of life. We're just making it work on the Switch. Something like that, just so people could
They could
play
put
it.
that just on the digital just digital eShop. You would still pay $60 for that shit.
Yeah. But anyway, let's go to the next part of this question. Our next part, same from the same person. Paper Mario is seemingly becoming less RPG-like, leaving Mario and Luigi to be the RPG series, which that studio I think's done now.
No,
Is
they're
there room
bankrupt.
for
No,
two
no, they're
different
done.
Mario RPGs? He says yes. I don't think there ever was a need for two
Yeah, there
separate
was
RPG series, but
There was Mario, Luigi, and Paper Mario were existing at the same time.
I know. But just saying, I think he meaning just from gamer standpoint, not just. Obviously, you can release two games,
Most people view those two games in like two different lights because they're
Well,
both
yeah, they're
RPGs, but they're both different.
but Paper Mario, I think's at least for me is like more recognizable. Probably, I'm guessing sales wise, probably this.
That's only because it was the console one. That's why the other
No,
ones were on handheld.
Mario and Luigi to me.
Mario and
feels
Luigi
more
were
like a
only on
smaller-
handheld.
Just as
They
somebody
were
doesn't
always
play
on
RPGs, I always think of Mario and Luigi's kind of as smaller titles. Maybe that's wrong, but that's just how I.
They're
view them.
not.
It is kind of.
I think the first few ones are really good, but fucking.
Well, no,
I
I've
feel
heard,
like that-
no, I've heard a lot of good things about all of them.
I'm not
Bowser's
saying they're
like-
bad games. I'm just saying they're. I would say it just feels like
They're viewed
smaller.
smaller because they're always relegated to handhelds. Mario and
Yeah.
Luigi has only ever been on handhelds.
Mhm.
But if you were talking
They're
about like, the
console
amount
side
of-
games. Yeah.
Yeah. They're
Yeah.
like in terms of like length, they're long games. They're worth the
Yeah.
price. They could easily be like full-fledged games.
I mean, I just Bowser's Inside Story sold almost 4.5 million copies.
oh,
so
Bowser's
they
Inside
did all right.
Story for a lot of people is considered like the best out of that, and that was like the
So it looks
fourth
like they do
game?
decent.
Third. Dream Team's pretty good. Dream Team was fucking gorgeous. That's
I
what
love
I'm-
Dream Team.
Dream Team visually is one of the prettiest games on
Yeah.
the 3DS. It's ridiculous.
Very inventive.
Well, you know what? I mean, you could argue that it sells just as much as the the Paper Mario
You might be
series.
right, but I was
Actually,
just
it
talking from
probably does.
perception, not from.
Oh, perception wise, I can understand
I
it.
think sometimes people hear RPG and think everything plays the same, but they do fundamentally play quite differently.
Yeah.
Both the series and even story and adventure wise, they are very different. They're very different games. So
Yeah,
I
agreed.
feel
believe that,
people,
but at
people
the s-
looking at them. Sorry, go on.
So
I was
they
just gonna
can.
say
I
at the
feel
same
like they
time,
can both exist.
Does it need to be a Mario RPG? Like, can't they just couldn't they make a new IP RPG that's first party Nintendo
Well,
IP?
we've all been calling for a new Golden Sun, but here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I guess from
It's
the
not like,
outside
it's
looking
not
in,
like we need it. It's not like we need it, but it doesn't hurt to have it. That's the
I
way
think,
would look at
yeah,
it.
well, yeah. I mean, there's room for it, but it is what it is. I mean,
so you can pick one
Damn.
PlayStation or Xbox exclusive to port to Switch. As somebody who owns Xbox and PlayStation, I wouldn't.
Are they
Need it to be
talking
ported?
current gen or just
port to
all?
Switch.
Didn't say.
I'm
Or
gonna
you
say
could just get
current
an
gen.
Xbox Series X and play all that.
I'm gonna just say current gen because it don't make no sense to do any.
Well,
like-
one, so he can only pick PlayStation. There's no Xbox exclusive.
Ooh!
Well, I got one, and I think it would fit beautifully on a Nintendo Switch, and that is anybody guess?
Sunset Overdrive.
Sunset Overdrive, motherfucker.
That one's
Exactly.
fine. I'm fair. That's a fair
But
one.
that it's funny.
That's
Or
my
it's a
pick.
little bit trickier because Sony owns the studio.
Now
that
they,
made
yeah,
that
that,
game.
they own that. So
Yeah, but
Microsoft
that's
has
really
the
tricky.
IP. So for me, it's like just what I think. Maybe I would try to look at it like, what do I think a Nintendo Switch only gamer, a game they probably, I would feel they'd be missing out on the most.
You know what I picked?
That's kind of how
I
I'd look at it.
I would pick I pick Bloodborne for Switch. That's
Okay.
one I would.
I'd probably say Gravity Rush, just because I think Nintendo
Oh, that's a
fans-
good one.
Yeah,
God damn.
Gravity
it.
Rush is a great one. Yeah.
Well
Yeah,
played.
Gravity
Derek.
Rush would be it. Like,
Damn
Persona
it.
5.
I'm gonna
Give us
say
Persona 5.
Tearaway Unfolded, yo. Tearaway
That's an expensive ass game too.
Actually,
by
that
the
one's
way.
good. That's good too.
Tearaway
Gravity
Unfolded.
Rush.
Nintendo fans would love it, and it'd sell way more than the PS4 version, no doubt, yo.
It's so well.
And
on
Gravity
PS4
Rush
from what I
uses
remember.
gyro.
Well,
so
you
it's-
saw Tearaway.
Gravity Rush on PS4 is super expensive right now.
Give us
Is
Knack.
it?
We love our platforms.
Yeah.
maybe
The
I should
what
sell
was it remastered?
Yeah, I have it. I paid like
Yeah.
$15 for it new.
Yeah, it is. It's going up in price.
Nice.
It's there's one right here for $129.99.
Damn.
It's
Give us
ridiculous.
Infamous Second
That'll
Son.
pay almost pay for my
Yeah,
new
yeah,
screen I bought.
Do you really want? Wait, did you Infinite Second Son clocked it?
No, I don't.
That shit-
Okay.
He's
I
didn't think you did, but I was gonna check
I
it.
started replaying it a few days ago, and it is
Garbage
great.
series.
Oh
I
no.
think-
Okay, so I went to go look at the sales of Tearaway. That did
No,
not sell.
what, dude? What? Did you not hear my whole rant a few months
I
ago?
didn't get to hear it. I'm sorry.
God damn! I told
Do
you
you not watch this man's videos? What the fuck?
that shit only sold 1,000 worldwide. You know
All right, we got to get to this Dave 97 question because it's.
that
I
shit.
think
That shit bombed, yo. It pissed me off.
this could probably be a main
Retro
topic.
killed me. It killed me with that.
But I think there's some merit to this question.
Do you not watch this man's videos? What the fuck?
All right, I'm gonna read this question. Dave 97. He says this may be controversial question. I'm just gonna rip the bandage off. Did Platinum Games scam people with that wonderful 101 Kickstarter? The remaster was pretty much done when they announced it,
Damn.
and it turned out to be kind of a shoddy port. I mean, it's not terrible, but they also opened a brand new studio like right before or during the Kickstarter. Was the crowdfunding necessary? I mean, some valid questions in there. I don't know the answers, but
I hate
Oh,
to throw some chinks in that armor.
To be fair, we knew-
ages ago that
Okay,
it
well,
wasn't.
listen. To be fair, they told us in some of the FAQs that technically they would have been fine if they had just kept it a Nintendo Switch exclusive,
Yeah.
and then they wouldn't have had to pay. Then they wouldn't have had the Kickstarter, and it was because Nintendo was like, okay, if you do the Kickstarter, we'll do you a solid and make the goal for Switch super low, and they were like, all right, fine, cool, and we take it. So.
Yeah.
Kinda like
Well, in the words of one of my favorite comedians, David Cross,
oh,
it's
shit.
my scammy hammy mammy. That shit
Well,
is scammy.
to be fair, I don't think they expected to get so much money.
No, they didn't.
Did they
That's
have
why
the
they
new
took. That's why they
content
took
yet?
the whole.
Did they add
Huh?
that new content that was the stretch
Yeah,
goal?
but it's like it's post game though. So like you still gotta like it's
But
it's
how
like
did they get
it's-
all that done in 2 months? Though?
That
That's-
shit was done
Because
already,
I-
bruh.
No, yeah, but I say
That's
the game was probably almost done for the most part, and then they just had to do the 2D because it's a 2D thing. Is the extra stuff? It's nothing crazy. It's not like a brand new.
But like
mission
I
or
said, I don't
anything.
think they expected to get that much money.
No, they wouldn't have even done the Kickstarter if it wasn't for the fact that Nintendo was like, we'll make our goal super low. That's why Nintendo's
I mean,
was
if
like
they got
30,000
50,000 to
or something.
100,000, no one would be asking this question. But the fact they got a couple
I don't
million,
know,
didn't they?
bruh. I don't know.
They got no. I thought it was just 8. Was it just 8 million or was it 2 million?
Well, if they just wanted to do the Nintendo version, why didn't they just do the Nintendo version?
And that's the
Because
worst version, though,
Nintendo's
technically.
no, because Nintendo's argument is that if you do the game with us, you can only do it with us. The Kickstarter was because they wanted to do it for everyone.
Except Microsoft.
That was the trade off, and Nintendo still did them a solid by having their Nintendo Switch goal be so low. So that's why I say it's technically a scam in the sense of like it's not like an amazing port by any means, but at the same time, I already knew going into it what the deal was. So I didn't really feel
So
like
am I supposed to believe that this is what's it going to be on PlayStation and
PC and Switch.
PC, right?
PlayStation, PC, and Switch.
So am I to believe that Sony fans were the ones that really pushed this thing, or am I supposed? What I actually believe is Nintendo fans who just love Platinum said, "All right, we're going to do this for you anyway," because even though we're getting the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I
the one thing
I feel like that's a fair assessment.
Because for Kickstarting, obviously, you're just basically committing to buying a game, you know, ahead of time. It's almost like pre-ordering.
It's a pre-order, basically.
It did. To me, one of the things that stood out initially was they said it'd be done in April or whatever. I'm like, wow, it's like they must already be working on this. They must have been working on this game.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the same time, like I said, if they only got 50,000 from people, then no one would be even asking this question. But the fact that it did so well and that it didn't seem to they didn't seem to take any of that money and say, oh, well, let's make sure the Switch version's a better version of the game or anything like that. They still released it as is. It just kind of feels like, was that money, where'd the money go? Is that going to the physical versions being released, or the time
if you switch the question to be specifically towards Switch owners, then yeah, I would agree. It's it's a scam. It feels like you got scammed in that sense.
Yeah,
because the Switch owners didn't really
even those. Oh,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I think even those people are like, I'm not being scammed. I want to support the game because I just like Platinum Games, and you know, I like this game. So and then they got the shoddiest version, and then maybe they got the
only other credit I'll also give them is at least they did something. They're one of the few companies that did anything with the PS4 touchpad and the touchscreen for the Switch. So I was like, that's a little bit of effort. That's better than like not doing anything at all. It's not like
I wonder if they.
That's a low bar, but I see where you're coming from.
But I'm saying, listen, I'm saying, considering it wasn't just like a bare bones fuck it thing. Like there was some level of effort there.
But I mean, like when it comes down to it, was it really a scam? Didn't people get what they paid for?
No, my issue more so was kind of like where Juice was heading with the fact that the Switch version of the game runs worse than the Wii
not a
version.
remaster. It's really just a port.
No, it's not really a remaster. It's like a port.
That's what a scam is.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I hope they would do, and it's, you know, I find that I kind of trust Japanese companies to do the right thing more. If this was an American company, I would think that 1.5 million was going to the head guys, nice bonus. I would think Platinum would put that money towards a future game development and not just. And that money's going towards something, you know. That's what I kind of hope. I kind of feel like I want to.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but there was a Japanese company who made a spiritual successor to Mega Man that scammed the asses up, and didn't deliver half a decent game.
Listen, so, I don't like you reminding me of times I wasted my money. All right, buddy. I'm just asking you do me a favor. Don't bring this shit up again.
All right, I won't mention it no more. It's my last time today.
He's lying. He's fucking lying.
All right, let's get to one more question here. Let's see. Deku Tree, this is an easy one. While I'll pre-read some of the other ones. Is the Nintendo Switch the second coming of the Wii? I think T, you might want to take that.
Yeah, well, you know, I said that long time ago. Back when it was revealed, I was like, this thing's gonna outsell the Wii. Everybody, no. Now everybody's, this is gonna outsell the Wii. So welcome to my neighborhood. Glad you came. But this is easily gonna beat the Wii. Easily.
I wanted you to do a Mr. Rogers quote. I really did.
All right, Retro,
when
go
the concept was there, I said the same thing. Like, the thing is going to outsell the Wii. Now people are saying it after it's selling the numbers. Like,
right.
It's easy to do that.
Let's just hope it doesn't
easy
mimic.
To say that now.
Let's just hope it doesn't mimic the Wii's last year and a half.
No, and I'm saying it won't do that because most of the people who cared about the Wii early on just stopped caring about it within 3 years. That's not going to happen to the Switch.
I feel like the Switch is still pretty exciting for people.
It's still pretty exciting, right?
I was going to bring up, did y'all read was it Who did the Witcher 3 port on Switch? I forget the company.
Uh,
Saber?
Saber Interactive.
Yeah. They were recently talking in an interview about how
I
how
saw
you'd be
that.
surprised at the upcoming Switch ports or
Yeah.
how the Switch has untapped power still.
Yeah, they're saying they're not
Well-
done. After The Witcher 3, they're like, we can still do more. What?
There's two.
That's impressive.
There's two
When we say
thoughts
that,
to
the
that.
Switch is sorry. Go on.
I was just gonna say Digital Foundry even kind of made that point with when they did the I think it was a hacked Switch where it showed they could actually see what the CPU and GPU clocks were when they played The Witcher 3, and it was like at 70, 60, 70% a lot of the times. And when I play a game on my PC, my graphics card's at 99 to 100 the whole time.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, they did that so that those spikes, like of where it needs to go up to 80, 90, you don't have huge issues. But at the same
battery
time,
power.
but
That's
at the
another
same
thing,
time, you could smooth out that so it's not so it's running closer to 100% and figure out a way to make it not hit these massive spikes that would crash it, so it doesn't have to run at the lower specs the majority of the game, So I think we'll see. I don't expect like major advancements, but I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing some improvements.
The only reason why I even brought it up was because there was that French, the French retailer had like a bunch of SKUs leak, and a lot of them were for Switch from different companies like Ubisoft, Capcom, Square Enix.
I feel like there was a
Bethesda.
GameSpot one, GameStop one a while back that we still haven't found out if that was true or not.
I guess the only game that would be on that list would be Mario, Paper Mario. I mean,
Well, it's
Well,
probably true, but we were in the beginning stages of the pandemic, basically.
Yeah.
So they probably were planning on letting us know what a lot of us were by now.
you can.
but-
I mean, obviously, you can tell Nintendo had plans that kind of got fucked over with the whole pandemic, like a lot of other companies. So
yeah.
I'm curious if they're gonna do what they did with Paper Mario and just randomly stealth drop trailers throughout the coming.
I kind of think that's their new strategy.
Yeah, at least for this year.
And I'm not against that because it kind of makes things fun because you really don't know what the fuck is coming.
But at the same time, I don't know that it's necessary to do that. 2 months, Paper Mario's coming out in a month and a half or 2 months, whatever it was.
I mean, you still got to promote the game.
It's cool at the same time, but I don't know that it's necessary. Like to not not to have told us about that in February, like at their last direct. I don't know what they've gained by waiting, unless because of E3 and the COVID-19 that was going to be an E3 announcement. So we don't. I guess we don't know.
Necessary? Is it necessary for me to drink my own urine? No. Anybody know that reference?
That's from. Oh, what is it from?
Dodgeball.
I knew it because I was like, I heard it before.
All right, one more question. We'll go a little bit past. This is a pretty good question from Mizitude89. So, two of the best-selling games of all time are, I don't know if he said selling, two of the best games of all time and probably two of the best-selling Nintendo games of all time, Breath of the Wild and Mario Kart 8. Do you think history will remember them as icons of the Wii U or Switch?
Oh, the Switch. Definitely.
Probably the Switch, but they probably need to be recognized as Wii U.
The majority of the people Switch.
I remember
that's
Mario
the problem with Zelda and so people look at what the Switch can do. It's like, no, bitch, look what the Wii U could do.
I can't answer this question. I'm gonna be biased. I'm gonna be biased as hell.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying I can't answer the question because I'm gonna be biased as hell. So
you know what I'll say? I would think Mario Kart 8 would be more associated with the Wii U personally.
I would think that's what I was gonna say.
History, I think.
I don't know. I
mean, if people do their research and they're like, hey, this is the history, Mario Kart 8.
Yeah.
But if it's just somebody's like if I went over to my neighbor, he was just telling me he got a Switch after I told him about it and got Mario Kart, I'll be like, all right, I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to name some games and you tell me what system pops to mind. If I say Mario Kart 8, he's going to say Switch. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. But
well, yeah, of course. But I'm saying like Mario Kart 8, at least to me, it would be more realistic to be like Mario Kart 8 was on this the Wii U since 2014, right?
Of those two games, Mario Kart 8 has the best chance of people remembering as a Wii U game, whereas Breath of the Wild.
That because it was also, I think it's also Nintendo's like best DLC to the point where it shook people when that shit got announced
Yeah.
and people saw the price and we were like, what?
Yeah. And Breath of the Wild is a Switch game. It's a Switch and Wii U game. It launched on the same day, so there's
Breath of
really
the
not a
Wild,
whole lot of argument.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild, I can understand way more of them associating with Switch.
It's like Twilight
Right,
Princess.
right.
I associate Twilight Princess more with the Wii because that's where I played it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of people would say that too.
Yeah, I forget that it was a GameCube game sometimes until.
The only difference I would say with those is that Twilight Princess still, in part, remained a GameCube game, and it just had added on modules. Where Breath of the Wild turned into a Switch game. It was no longer the Wii U game it was going to be. It turned into.
They both sold about the same much.
No, I don't care about the sales. I talk about game.
They actually affected the design of the game because their decision was pretty early on to make it Switch.
Yeah, because they were like, let's not add shit for the Switch. Let's remove shit for the Wii U.
Yeah,
I'm confused.
I was talking about where you were saying like you associate Twilight Princess with the Wii, with the castle where you played it on. That's fine. But I said is that Twilight Princess was still fundamentally a GameCube game.
I'm not disagreeing with that at all. I'm just saying because
I didn't say you were. All I was saying is that's just the difference. That's how I see it.
Oh, and it came out first on Wii, but
that was weird too.
Did it? Really?
Yeah,
that
was
it
weird.
Came out.
But and then he just asks, do you think we'll get a ground up for the Switch Zelda game?
Yeah,
yeah,
you mean
Breath
like
of the Wild too.
Oh yeah,
Breath of the Wild too. Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of gray area because they're just using the engine and from the Wii U version, the Wii U engine with modifications, obviously, but actually started. I don't think we'll get another Zelda game that's like
confirmed like Ganon. Has that been confirmed like Ganon?
I think I'm pretty sure it was in an interview. It was, I don't know 100%, but I mean, it's pretty obvious. There's no way they built a new.
They had leftover ideas.
Yeah, but
I never understand
talk about
the
game
engine.
design, but I mean, just absolutely started from scratch. Like they usually do, brand new game engine for a new system. I don't think the Switch will get that. I just think we'll get the Wii U engine.
Those games don't get brand new
2.
game engines because you brand new games engines aren't made every day.
No, they do it once a generation for every console generation. Usually,
if it is not, and every game from Nintendo is using the same engine. Nothing's new essentially, but
I don't understand
a new game.
I mean,
I don't understand this conversation anyway. Why the game engine matters in this regard for like a new game? It doesn't. Everything else is still designed, as in the characters, the graphics.
Yeah, but I'm saying
for the Switch.
So
I bet there's assets of
we all just saying
Mario. I bet Mario Sunshine. I bet there's some assets that was brought over to Mario Galaxy.
Well, Nintendo's
those
even
are two
said,
different consoles.
they said themselves, like Wind Waker, that they built a brand new game engine specifically for Wind Waker. I'm not sure if Twilight Princess used any version of
Twilight
that.
Princess does uses it, yeah.
But then Skyward Sword was a completely new game engine that they come up with that, and Breath of the Wild was it wasn't like a modification. That's usually how they do their once per generation type games.
Skyward Sword was a brand new engine on a Wii.
I'm pretty confident. I guess I don't have the
it was
link, but yeah, they usually Nintendo. I mean, Mario Kart. They do the same thing. They don't reuse engines once the next generation comes. That's what takes them the majority. I don't want to say the majority of the time, but that takes a lot of the time is designing the new game engine to take advantage of their new hardware that they designed specifically.
Skyward Sword had to be a new engine
for their needs.
The way it was built.
So that's Nintendo's philosophy has been way different than most other game developers. Most game developers just they come up with a game engine and they utilize it as much as possible between as many games as possible. Or Nintendo has unique game engines for each series, and it's usually per generation. So I don't think.
Too bad those games are all the same.
Like Mario Galaxy.
I mean, that's why it doesn't matter in terms of the engine. It's itself we're gonna get a brand new Zelda.
Yeah, but I'm just saying from the ground
Yeah, it's
up
just-
for Switch, I said that's why there's a little gray area in my. Normally they would completely start fresh for a new system, but I think Breath of the Wild 2, there's no way it's coming out. Well, it might be. Who knows when it comes out? But if it comes out within 3 years, then they've obviously reused.
And everything's a gray area. It's like
Yeah.
what's Splatoon 2?
Splatoon
Is that
2 is
like-
that's
Is that
that's what
ground
I
up on the
said.
Switch?
no.
It's like there is no gray area though. They said it's in development now, so it's being made for the Switch. It doesn't matter what they reuse. This Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 is being made for the Switch. Like there's no debate in that.
Yeah, I don't think the Wii U engine or anything like that is holding the game back.
No, I'm
I
not.
think-
I'm not even suggesting that. I'm just
No,
saying,
I'm not saying you
based
are.
on
I'm
his
just saying-
question from the ground up. To me, from the ground up means what Nintendo usually does is they start from scratch. They build a game engine specific to the hardware and then
Yeah.
make the game.
No, I think people use that from ground up thing to talk about basically like the limitations that a game might have if it wasn't ground up on the system. You know?
I mean, that's another way to look at it too. Yeah, they could be like, all right, we're not. There's Wii U's no longer in the equation. It's 100% Switch. But when I see from the ground up, that's what I think about looking back at Nintendo's history with new games on new, like that. So, but it's still gonna be completely new game, Switch.
I'm sure it's gonna wow us in new ways that
it's gonna.
Breath of the Wild didn't.
And that's, I guess that's the last thing I was going to talk about is just like this year's been obviously shitty on so many fronts. But as you guys know, Nintendo hasn't really delivered games that historically have excited me. With Animal Crossing, I do appreciate that. It looks like they put a lot of work in. It seems like a great Animal Crossing game. It's just not been, it's not a series that I've, really draws me in. And I think a lot of what I'm feeling right now is just when Nintendo's not delivering for me personally, then I feel like the entire gaming industry kind of suffers from, like, I just don't feel as excited for gaming. And it might be other factors, but I kind of feel like it's just Nintendo not really being at the top of their game when it comes to, for me personally.
But here's my
I
question.
felt like that when the West took over gaming.
Well, here's a quick question, Juice. Is that the fault of Nintendo, or is it the fault of the gaming industry for not having enough interesting content?
I think when Nintendo's not on top of their game, I just feel like I get less excited about gaming as a whole. It happened at the end of the Wii's life that last year. I mean, I was playing in 2010. I was playing some pretty good games on the 360 and stuff, but it wasn't until the Wii U came out that I felt like my passion for gaming was reignited. Like, it's one of the things I said over and over in the early days. I was like, man, I was just really not thrilled about gaming, and Wii U reminded me what I love about gaming. Like, almost every game they were coming out with, even though the first year was light, but after that, it was like, man, this is like totally reinvigorated my love of gaming. And I just feel like right now, and it might not be just the Switch, it just might be everything else. Like I've been working on my home theater and getting kind of wrapped up into that and stuff. But I just feel like when Nintendo's not killing it for me, then kind of affects my view on gaming as a whole. So that's just kind of
that's how I felt the whole GameCube generation.
I'm not saying it's their fault. I'm just saying that's the fact. It's hard for me to get excited about gaming right now, and it might be all the other real world shit, but it also just kind of be. If I was like in 2017, I was listening back to some old podcasts, man, I was so excited about everything gaming. Like
we all were.
That first
Well,
year.
to be fair, 2017.
There was so many great games, and
that was a hell of a year.
Yeah, dude. In that one year, you had Zelda, Mario, Xenoblade.
You had two of
Fire
Nintendo's best
Warriors,
games of
you
all
had
time.
Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. I mean, you can't beat that shit.
It was exciting.
You guys fucking
Arms,
do that
Arms,
shit, no way.
Splatoon 2, Arms and Splatoon 2. I mean, you had game after game every month.
Right. It was ridiculous. It was like we were sitting around like, man, they're not messing around.
Good year.
If this is like this the first year, what is going to happen?
It's
Oh,
like,
2018. That's what happened.
What a great time to be a gamer. Remember saying what a great time
Yeah.
it is to be a Nintendo fan and be a gamer? It's like, and then 2018 was kind of kind of a
2018
downer.
was
and-
whatever,
But
but
2019 was good. And I was
2019 was great.
feeling pretty
2019 was good. Yeah.
and
In
it's like,
2020,
How do you
looking
guys fucking
is
do
already
that
great, yo.
shit?
2020
I
is
don't
already great, yo.
understand how you guys you name a random ass fucking year. 2013. Oh, it was the best year. This game came out. This game and that. How do you, I didn't even know that shit. You guys say 2019. I'm like, what the fuck?
2013 was 3D World,
Man,
was
you,
The Last
you
of
old
Us,
man, you can't remember what happened?
was
Last of Us,
Bioshock
GTA
Infinite,
5,
was Tomb Raider,
GTA 5,
GTA
Rainbow
5,
Legends.
Wonderful 101,
Re-
Pikmin 3,
Retro Death has a senior citizen brain. He can't
Wonderful
remember
Wind
shit.
Waker HD, Sonic Lost Worlds. Oh, like how do you not know that? It was a great. It was a pretty good
Yeah,
year.
man. You got to check your card when we done with this
But
podcast.
none of them come close to 1998. Let's just get that right. All right.
98 was glorious.
Well, I will say, so one thing that I will say is that, I have a lot of games on my wish list, always, and I go by year, and I look at some of these fucking years like 1999, 19, I'm like, holy, I have like 30 games on to buy. I'm like, dude, what the fuck happened to this year? They motherfuckers are cranking out games left and right. I mean, like, some of these years are just jam-packed that I'm like, dude, if I was alive, I'd be broke. I mean,
But 98 though, I'm
98
trying to
was
think,
like,
Don't even
Industry
bother, dude.
changing.
Don't even bother.
I
Whatever you're gonna say. don't even-
Ocarina of Time.
Oh,
But that-
God.
My memory between 97 and 99 probably a little shaky on N64 releases. They all kind of blend together for me. So what was the standout besides
He was
Ocarina?
smoking heavy. What he's trying to say, he was smoking heavy doobies.
No, 'cause I
back
know
in those days.
GoldenEye was
No,
probably-
wait, this is the same. When you hated on the Dreamcast as well,
Yeah, this
Hating
guy
on the
here.
Dreamcast.
were you? No.
No, just the controller and
Okay, you're lucky then.
some of the
It's
Sega
like
games.
writing down names
Some of the
and
Sega
shit.
games I bought and realized.
Yeah, some of the some of the
Arcades.
arcadey Sega stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the
I was disappointed too. I went out and bought Dynamite Cop, beat that shit in 30 minutes. I'm like, what is this?
Crazy Taxi. I was bored within an hour. But
I was
anyway,
bored.
98.
also, 2005 is a crazy year.
Is it
Holy
ni-
shit.
it-
Wait, let's finish 98
Was
here. 'cause
Star
this is greatness.
Fox 98 or 97?
No, that was 97.
So yeah, I
T,
can't.
T, what else came out in 98? Tell him.
Half-Life. You might have heard of that
Half-Life
game.
came out, yeah.
1080 snowboard.
I didn't have a PC.
Okay, I was
Uh,
hoping T was going to say another game.
Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, I already said that one.
Banjo-Kazooie. came out in
Banjo-Kazooie?
Yeah, the
F-Zero X, yeah.
StarCraft 1 came out in.
I didn't have a
StarCraft.
PC.
Yep.
Metal Gear Solid came out. Resident
I was
Evil
gonna get to
2,
Metal Gear next.
Turok 2.
I didn't really care for it. but
Turok 2.
Thief came out. Star Wars Rogue Squadron came
Rogue
out.
Squadron.
and,
Huge.
Parasite Eve, which is fucking awesome.
Yeah, I was
What
not a
happened
PC gamer. I
what
didn't
happened
have
to Parasite
access.
Eve?
I didn't have access to
Metal
PC.
Gears came out, which is one of the best JRPGs ever made. The original Tenchu came out in 98, and Tenchu 1 is just sexual sausage. And do you know what came out? F-Zero fucking X came out.
F-Zero X. Yeah.
Then the fucking
Well, the
Tenchu
PlayStation was trash, so not half
The
that list.
N64 was hitting its stride. Yeah.
came out in 98. Power Burning Rangers came out in 98.
Burning Rangers.
Saga, okay,
I was gonna get
98,
Yeah.
all right. And another
Yeah.
game people talk about Buster Groove, man, on the PS1. That came out in 98 as well.
Well, I was a diehard Nintendo fanboy, and everything that
I was a game
everything that
back
came out on PlayStation was
PS1,
trash.
PC, I was
I was a
playing.
Nintendo fanboy too, but I like some games.
I was
Playing stuff.
I was arguing with people about why Ocarina of Time was great and Metal Gear was overrated, even though I never played it. I remember it being at a party, getting mad at some
I agree
dude.
with you.
Some guy was like,
Wait,
Metal Gear's the best game. I was like, dude, fucking Ocarina of Time. Oh, what's that, Zelda? And it's like, we got in an argument about it, and I'm just like, after I played Metal Gear, I understand why people liked it, but it wasn't even close in the same.
I still don't understand, but that's just me.
It wasn't even close. So PC,
I know
never-
Clock that likes it. I know you like it, bro, but it ain't just anything for me.
The original Metal Gear deserves its accolades. It was a great game for the PS1, a really good fucking game. But it's like Majora's Mask and that Ocarina of Time thing again. Don't compare those games, man.
Yeah.
I'm saying, don't do it.
I'm not comparing the games when you got somebody saying the best game that came out was Metal Gear, and I was saying nope, it was Ocarina, and we had a debate because neither of us played the other game, so that's how it was back in those days.
was a video.
Yeah,
game.
that's what you call fanboyism, man. That's
Mhm.
great fanboyism.
Yeah, you
Fanboy
could-
wars.
fucking D-pads.
If it wasn't, if it didn't release on a Nintendo system, I didn't give it much chance back then. That's for sure.
For me, it's like, 1998, you using a D-pad, son?
all platforms were singing and dancing.
I was intrigued by the Saturn demo of Knights, and that was the only non-Nintendo thing I even paid attention to. Probably that was '97, but
You had a Saturn?
no, I just saw the demo.
Oh,
That's the first. That was the only like non-Nintendo thing that. And then when the PS1 came out, Warhawk, my buddy had bought. He rented the PlayStation first, and we rented Warhawk, and I thought that was pretty cool. But that was pretty much it.
hey Sony, remember that franchise? Oh no, forgot.
But anyway, let's wrap this up. It was a good discussion, and it was good to be back. And then I was hoping next week we'd be able to talk about all the PS5, the future of gaming, and
I know.
but no, we'll have to wait. I don't think it'll be too much. I think next week they'll air it, but I'm just curious to see like what are they going to try to counter with? Is it going to be more what Microsoft did with third parties and trailers showing CGI or cutscene stuff? Or I guess we'll have to wait another week. But other than that, who knows what else will happen? Maybe Nintendo will drop another trailer for some great game coming out. But we'll talk about it all next week and try to get to the rest of the questions. So thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.